Right. Back over here. Okay, so apparently we are live. I decided to come early. I've got to finish this series up. It's a lot that I'm going to go over. So come in whenever you can. You know how I feel about it. Whatever, it's fine. I just want to finish it tonight. So yeah, I might be still here, be here at 6 o'clock in the morning because I just want to get it all done. So here we go. Now we kind of left off yesterday. I had done this. I played a couple of recordings, but they did not record, which I was like, oh my God. So I went back and downloaded them today so we can actually play them and you can actually hear them because there is new information on this case, which is, I know, a little shocking. Nobody expected that, but there actually is. So let me go back and the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go play these for you. Now, these are from, let me scroll down over here so I can tell you where they're from. Hang on. I got to get it from right here. Whoops. Oh, shit. Okay, it's right here. Okay, here. So these are going to be, hang on a minute. I'm going to tell you what they're from. They are from, let's see. There were some affidavits that were done, and then some of the people actually, some of their affidavits were actually recorded. And this was the new information on this case. There's Phyllis Haynes had hers just recorded, and there's somebody else that was recorded. There was like a 20-minute one for her, and then there's another guy that was recorded. I need to find it over here. Anyway, I'm going to play those for you because they did not show up yesterday, and that is what the blank spot is in number 3. So here we go. Let's go ahead and play them. Just a moment. Okay, get this over here. Where it goes? Here I am. Let's get this one playing. Okay. There is no picture. It's just, it's just sound. So just be aware of that. Okay, here we go. Okay. Oops, here we go. Let me get this back up here so you can see it. Add to stage. There you go. And let me go pick this up so we can hear it. Come on. All right, here we go. Now this is, all right. Okay, it is. So there was Phyllis Haynes, there was Dan Newby by PDF, there's Teresa Norgett by PDF, there's somebody named Janet Rexford by PDF, Cecilia Nyston by PDF, there's somebody named Sandy Capps by PDF, Fran Werta by PDF, there's somebody named Roxy Ann Haynes PDF. There's just a bunch of different PDFs, and it's from affidavits that these people had signed about somebody that said that he actually said he was the one who pulled the trigger and shot those kids. Now, do we believe them? I don't know. I don't know who I believe and who I don't believe. I know what the case is, and I know here. This is Dan Newby's. Hold on, just a second. We'll play it for you guys. All right, here we go. It does look like. Okay, so that was Dan Newby. Now, there's also another recording, and it is like about a 20-minute recording. And I'm going to let that play today. You see, I played these yesterday, but it didn't pick it up for some whatever silly reason. Because, sometimes StreamYard is, we don't know. Sometimes it just doesn't work right. So, anyway, let me find this other recording. It's about 20 minutes. It's very interesting what this lady has to say about this person. There's just like a whole bunch of information about this case that I have never seen before. And I know it's really old, but there is they're going to retest something with some DNA on it from the case, and they think it's going to prove that there was somebody else there besides her. Now, I don't know if it's going to change anything about this case, because one of the problems that happened here was her own daughter, Christy, said, "No, my mother shot me." So let me see if this will play. Hang on, guys, just a second.
It's August the 28th, 1993. I'm sitting in a car with Fran Huerta, and Fran is going to tell you her name. And so, Fran, why don't you tell us your name and where you live, please?
Fran Huerta. I live in Lebanon, 4170 South San Am. And I'm here with you, Mr. Frederickson.
All right. And Fran, do you realize that this conversation is being tape recorded?
Yes, I do.
And that this, if it's possible, this tape recording will be used in court?
Yes.
All right. Fran, you have something to share with me about a person by the name of James Haynes. Can you kind of tell us, who is James Haynes?
James Haynes is my son-in-law. He married my oldest daughter nearly 10 years ago.
Your oldest daughter's name?
It's Phyllis Haynes.
Phyllis, okay.
And James Haynes has bragged to me over the years that he's the man that killed Diane Downs' kids.
When did he first tell you that?
I believe it was like 86, 87, somewhere along in there.
Can you tell me the circumstances? Why would he tell you a thing like that? Tell me what happened.
Well, it was like he was using it as something to like instill fear. The kind of, don't you know I'm the person that did Diane Downs' kids, so aren't you afraid of me now? I didn't believe him at first. I thought it was just, like this man's an egomaniac and he likes to brag about making himself a big man by doing all kinds of bizarre, violent behavior, and he uses this to control people and has for years. I thought he was using that on me.
Well, when he said this to you, were you angry, or was he angry? Had you had an argument with him?
Well, yes, we had a confrontation of, he seemed to think that he was in awe that I was angry enough and felt enough hatred toward the man. He said, "Do you think that you're strong enough to war with me in combat, if it ever come to that?" And I told him, yes, I was. And he said, "What makes you think that you'd win?" He says, I've got this and I've done that, and I'm a karate man. And I looked at him and I said, "Jim, it's passion that you bring out in me and the hatred that I feel, that it doesn't matter what kind of skill you have, I would win. I would tear you apart. And he jumped back and says, well, don't you know I'm the man that killed Diane Downs' kids? I looked at him and I said, Jim, I can't let myself dwell on that or even believe it because you're the father of my grandchildren. And he just kind of laughed and like, yeah, just keep that, don't forget that. I thought it was just bravado talking, but like maybe he needed to see a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if he's told other people about this same thing?
Oh yes, I've come to learn that he brags. He never said a word about this until after Diane Downs was convicted, and a few of us have gotten together recently and we've begun comparing notes about this because he's told so many people at so many different times and he's bragged about it, that he's the man that did Diane Downs' kids. He never breathed a word of it to anybody until after Diane was convicted, and he's seen the way the way the whole state was against Diane. He felt very safe and smug, and in fact he has been all these many years because I've told you as many as 14 to 15 people in separate incidents that he's bragged about too, and not one person has come forward until now.
But there are some who are willing to talk about it, do you believe?
I think so.
And have you given me a list of those names?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Let me ask you, have you seen the composite, the drawing of that Diane Downs did of the person who shot her and the children?
I read it in Small Sacrifices long ago. The first time I read it, the book, I wasn't even thinking about my son-in-law, and I glanced through the pictures. Then, when my son-in-law began to brag that he was the one that opened that book up and went, my God, that looks just like him. And everyone that I've shown it to that knows him, none of the people that I know have a copy, but so I take mine around everywhere I go. And I opened it up and I said, this is the man that Diane drew. Who does that look like? I haven't had to prompt. They all go, oh, that's Jim! But see, they didn't see the newspaper, and very few of them have read the book. But once I've shown it to them, these are the people that he's bragged to, they all begin to look a little differently. Wow, like maybe it wasn't just brag or...
And tell me, does Jim Haynes have a violent nature to him?
Does he ever? The man has 17 degrees of black belt. He specializes in, he knows all the moves that you can do to kill a person quickly with one blow or to make them suffer. And he will go on at length about, and he has very powerful arms and hands. He's beat my daughter. He threw my grandson down a flight of stairs because he was angry at me. He's threatened to shoot my dog because he knew it would hurt me and make me sad. He has threatened my daughter that if she ever left him, he would kill her grandparents. He sugared the gas tank to my car. He's done lots and lots of hurtful things to me. He's tried to have me set up many times to hurt my daughter. Yes, and he has a very violent, sick nature.
Do you know if he has ever been arrested?
Yeah, he grew up in Hillcrest, I gather, and he's been arrested for methamphetamine and machine guns. He's been arrested for, the cops came there too soon this last time. This was like 2 years ago, I think. He was doing a big drug deal in the motel, but the money had just left, and the drugs hadn't arrived when the cops broke in, and therefore they dismissed the whole thing because there was nothing there. But it was about to happen. He got his walking papers with his 2 pounds of methamphetamine and his machine gun. He did 45 days. Really hard time here. He did 45 days of actual jail time, and he did. From there, he was just on write-in status on his parole. He did it for about a year and a half. He had his wife send in his reports. He never even made one out, to my knowledge. Bragged that he was doing it easy because he was who he was, that the system was afraid of him, and that he didn't worry about taking urinalysis tests. His parole officer never came to see him, and finally his parole officer told him pay $350 and the whole thing's over with, which he went and borrowed the money, paid it, and sure enough, he's off. I mean, I couldn't believe it.
Have you known him to deal in drugs and sell drugs?
The whole 10 years I've known him, yes.
I see. The other...
He's never held a job. He hasn't had a single job. He put together a baseball card shop 2 years ago and dealt drugs out of that until he got so scared. You know, he was rocking and rolling Eugene out of his baseball card shop. But that's the only time I've ever known him to do a visible, honest labor was when he had that baseball card shop. Other than that, the man he runs chemicals, buys chemicals. He protects meth labs. He's known to be a collector, an enforcer. He does favors for motorcycle clubs. They do favors for him. He used to work, he bragged about doing hits for people who would contact this karate agency that he used to work at, Ed Parker Studios. People would...
Ed Parker?
Ed Parker, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim was their main man. They called him Animal. But apparently it would be approached and they would send Jim, I guess they flew him all over the United States to do... Jim bragged that he was the only one that could do the job, like Charles Bronson or something. Whether or not he actually did these things, but I know he was approached all of the time by people needing somebody to go collect something for them or put a scare here. He loved doing it. Loved it.
Well, have you heard about... Now, you know, there had to have been a gun that shot the Downs children and Diane that night. Have you heard anything about a gun or a T-shirt?
Yes.
Tell me about that, please.
I was told by someone who was very close to Jim. And
you've given me some information.
Yes.
So I might follow up on that.
Yes.
Okay.
But the man said, Jim approached him. It was May, was it 18th? Was that the night this happened? May 19th.
May 19th.
It was that date. And he said Jim came running out to his house with a T-shirt dripping in blood. And something was hard. He said it felt like a gun. We didn't look. Was wrapped in a T-shirt, and Jim says, help me get rid of this. The man went with Jim, and they buried this gun in T-shirt. It wasn't until just a few hours later that the man heard on the news about the incident of Diane's children. This man knew that was what Jim had done, and Jim got excited when he saw the, heard about it, and he was going, yeah, man, that was really a rush. You know, he talked about it in, the positive term. He was very hyped up, this man said, but he helped him dispose of it and told to me that Jim lived less than 5 minutes away from where, the actual crime took place. This man has been reluctant to come forward, but I think he's wanted to talk about it for a long time. He's been reluctant to come forward because he fears that he would be an accessory to it. But when I asked him, he said he'd been waiting for 10 years for someone to talk to him about it. And I think the man genuinely feels sorry that he did assist, but at the time he did not know what crime. It could have been a deer that Jim had killed or something for all he knew at the time. But when he saw the news broadcast, he knew what Jim had done. And I don't know. This man's been very tight with Jim over the years. I don't know if he'll call and warn Jim that I know and that I'm sharing this information with you today. He may, but then again, he may not, because I know he feels very badly about it, but he would not ever come forward himself. I mean, never would he have. But he did talk to me.
Well, let me ask you, I hear you say things about Jim Haynes that you're kind of bitter at him. Are you doing this because you're angry with him? Why have you come forward at this time? Fran, I just shut the tape off for just a moment. You were aware of that, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, you had a problem with a question I asked, and let me say again, we're back on tape, and I'm tape recording this conversation.
Yes.
Still the same day, same time.
Right.
All right. There's been some things recently that have caused you a great deal of misery in the family. Is that right?
Oh, yes.
And Jim Haynes, you told me, has been awarded your grandchildren.
Yes.
And you're concerned about the children being in that environment. All right.
I hate this man with all my heart, and I have for 10 years. And that's no secret. There is, everyone knows there's great animosity between Jim and I.
But the one thing that prompts you, and I don't want to put the words in your mouth,
yes.
I know you told me a while ago,
why I
your
came forward, my grandchildren, but the man doesn't deserve to breathe air on the face of this earth, and if I can be locked away from my grandchildren and from me and from decent society, then...
What you're telling me is not something just to get him locked away.
No,
what you're telling me is things that you've heard that
this is true, yes. This is
and what has prompted you to do this then is because your grandchildren have been taken away,
yes,
and it finally give you the courage to...
I had come to a head and I went, no. If the court, how can the court award this man who's such an animal? My grandchildren and myself and the children's mother are able to take care of the children, have provided for them, and there was no reason for them to do this, but yet the court just awarded my 3 children to this man, and I'm concerned for their safety. But more than that, I have learned that Diane indeed did not do that, and if Diane didn't shoot her children, then the person that did should be locked up and not her. And if my information can help free her, fine.
Okay, now all of the questions I've asked you here today and your answers, you're saying them under oath. You're yes. saying that you attest to that, and in
yes.
a court of law you would
yes.
swear.
It is not for vengeance. That's a part of it. But if it wasn't doing this, it's possible that I could be having to face a life sentence myself. And the man has threatened to kill me many times, and I've been known to say I wish he was dead, and I do, and that's the truth.
Well, let's talk about some of the other people without mentioning names. Now, you have given me a list of names, but we won't mention those names. Let me ask you: are some of them? Do you think they would be willing to share things?
Some of them will, yes.
Have they all heard? You've discussed the same things with them,
yes.
and they've heard him say these same things.
Yes, he's bragged at various times to all the people that I've told you about. They all know, and I think the reason for their silence is that Jim has things on them through. They all do criminal activity together occasionally. I'm sure he has things on them that they wouldn't want. Probably powerful information that they wouldn't want to be made public is probably why they haven't come forward.
Well, you've known Jim. I think you said 10 years.
10 years, yes.
Well, how well do you know him? Do you think you know him really well?
I have studied the man. He has fascinated me. And he's been such an evil part of the things that I love, my daughter and my grandchildren. And I have studied this man because he probably is the best manipulator of people I have ever seen in my life.
I hear this.
They lie for him. I do believe he almost has Charlie Manson-type qualities. I think there are some people that would absolutely kill for Jim. I believe that with all my heart.
Why, though? Why would he tell people that, when he knows that this could get him in trouble? Why would he say it?
I don't know. I've wondered that myself, but apparently he's been safe in doing so because he's been saying this to a large amount of people, as you well know, for many years. And I think I'm the first person to come forward with it. No one's had
you're the first one I've known about.
No one's had a hint of it. And that boggles my brain. Here's the death of children involved, and no one has even... they've all protected him in this. Now, either he's insane, only an insane person would go about saying that, or else he really did.
Well, you're providing me with a photograph here today, right?
Yes.
Okay, and this photograph is from the time that this shooting occurred.
Yes, I met Jim right after the shootings occurred, and I had no reason to connect him with that crime then. But I know he was very reluctant at that time to have his picture taken. He changed his identity frequently. He would comb his hair different ways, wear sunglasses always, grow a beard, shave it off, grow sideburns, shave them off.
And this was when? In 1983?
83. I didn't meet him until 84.
In 84.
It was right after. But see, like I said, I knew I was hiding from something, or I had some very strange behavior, but I had no idea what. But he wanted to stay up in the hills and come down and do his thing and then go back up and hide somewhere. Didn't want people to know where my daughter and he were living, and I would want to come and visit and be family, and he did not like that, not at all.
Did you ever watch a television program about the Downs case while he was in your home?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I think that I've just about covered all the questions. Do you have anything else that you would like to add to this?
Right now, my mind is kind of blank because we've been talking for so long. But I know I have lots and lots of things. I have 10 years of things I want to say, but at first I didn't believe. I thought Jim was just bluffing. But the more I've looked and the more I've watched and the information that I've gathered, at first it was like an eerie feeling in my stomach. And then I began to get more and more of like, I think he did. I really think he did. Then I talked to the man that helped him bury the bloody t-shirt with something in the middle. And more and more and more. I mean, it's been slow coming. But when it finally, now that it's come, it's like so many things have fallen into place.
Yeah, you believe these people are really being honest with you, that they're not just trying to...
Nobody has come forward. I mean, everything that has been reluctant. Like, did Jim ever mention to you, like, he said to me the other day that he's the one that murdered Diane Down's kids. Have you ever said anything like that to you? Well, yeah, he said it back to me back in 85. Did you just find out about it? That kind of an attitude. And I haven't wanted to really pin him down and question him for fear of, like, alienating them.
All right, we just ran out of...
Everyone wants to brag about it too. Yeah, Jim told me that. I want to continue the questions. But believe me, I wanted to ask lots of them, lots of questions.
We had some problems with our tape here, Brian. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're it's still August the 28th, and we're still sitting and talking. I think we have just about covered everything. And I once again want to say that this has been a tape-recorded conversation. I am certainly not a professional investigator, but in your opinion, have I given you any information that you might have used in this tape, or has the things that you have said?
Have you led me? You mean have you led?
Have I led you to say anything?
In fact, Mr. Frederickson, it seems like I've been babbling constantly to you. I couldn't wait to tell you all the things. I mean, I had plenty of my own. Excuse me, I don't think you got a word in edgeways. I feel like I've just been bursting, to tell you what I know, and perhaps I've been a little rude at points, but what I've said, I had to get out, and it's from my heart, and it's what I know, and
would you, if this were to come to where it was to go to court, would you be willing to go to court and testify to these same things that you have stated here today?
Mr. Frederickson, when I made up my mind to talk to you, I committed myself, and I will do whatever it is necessary to follow this through and find out for sure if Jim really did, and if so, I'll help you in any way I can.
Fran, thank you. This is the end of this tape. It again is August the 28th, and this has been Fran Huerta and Wes Frederickson in an interview regarding James Haynes.
Okay, so that's the end of that recording right there. I'm going to go back over here to our page where all of this information is coming from. There is a lot of things that I have found on this situation that's kind of shocking. I myself have not seen some of this before. So I don't know if you have or haven't. Let me go back over here where it is right here. All right, now get myself back up here. Oh, come on. This needs to go away. All right, turn that off. No, we're going to turn that back off. on the screen. There we go. All right. So then the next thing that came along after that was that talked about how Diane moved from Arizona to Oregon in April 1983. The shooting happened in May. So she had only been there about 30 days, right? The state said Diane used Steve Downs' gun to shoot her children. Diane said the gun was in Arizona with her ex-husband. She said she didn't have the gun. And then he talks about he ran the ad, blah, blah, blah. Well, and then they decided it was a hoax. So a few years later, he contacted them, goes on and on about that. But now, we're going to get off of that to the next thing I found. Okay, so hold on. Let me shut this down. There's a lot of information. I even found the information where they have filed to get the DNA tested. Let me get rid of this one over here. Ooh, there's so many of these open because I was looking for all this stuff today. Okay, here we go. Close that. Go back over here. All right, let me get this one off of here. I might have to get my little, get rid of that. I got to get rid of a few things here because it's all open. I had a bunch of things open when I was trying to look for this information today. Hang on. There's also, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but there's also she wrote a book. Okay, it's called, the best, Diane Downs' Best Kept Secrets. Now I'm going to read the book. Okay, it's quite a few pages, but they're like little short pages. So let me get this off of here. We get some of these things off of here, and we'll come back and read this book. Whoops, hang on. I need to keep myself up here, but I want to get some of these things off. Okay, now what is this one? Okay. All right, there we are. I'm going to get rid of some of these things so we can go on about ourselves. I also found other information today on some other cases that I did not know was out there. So it's very interesting. Okay, now let me share the screen over here with this next thing we're going to share the screen with. Share the screen, and it is, hold on, the federal DNA lawsuit. Here we go. Share. Come on, open up. Let me see if it's going to open up right. Come on. It's not going to open up right. Here we go. Here's the book. Here we go. It's called Best Kept Secrets. Come on, open up. Oh, it doesn't want to open window. Let's see if it's in the window. Come on. Oh my goodness, this crazy thing. Window. I've got to get my mouse. It dropped onto the floor when I was moving around. So let's cancel that. We'll just cancel that and start over on it. All right, hang on. Share. No, it doesn't want to. Okay, let me get rid of this. Oh, my Lord, hang on just a second. We'll get rid of some of these other things, and we'll come back right over here. I mean, there's like 20 different things to open because I found all this different stuff. And it's like, I even found medical records that should not be made public on the children, okay? Christy's medical records and stuff from the hospital should have never been put out there. But it is out there, which is ridiculous, and it's upsetting, We should not be seeing those things, right? Oh, come on, get back up there. Stop. No, cancel. Cancel. All right. Those things should not be out in the public, but it is in the public, which I find that rather disgusting, So let me get rid of this. All right. I even found some stuff on Lori Daybell today when I was looking at some things that I wanted to show, which I thought was kind of interesting. Things about when she was married to, here we are, the guy, Ryan. What? Your browser has blocked your screen. Click the screen icon. Okay, well, here we go. There we are. And put us back on. All right, there we are. Now, let me go back over here, and I'm going to share the screen because I want to find this book. I want to show you this book that I found. I was like, you got to be kidding me. That's so interesting. I did not know she had written this book. And she was dedicated to her children, blah, blah, So let's go find the book right quick. It's called The Best Kept Secrets. Your browser has blocked your screen. Click the screen icon. What do you mean? Click this on the address bar. I think, let me make sure I can see myself. Hang on a minute. Silly thing. Because I think I can see it. I think it's just telling me that, but I don't think it's really true. Sometimes StreamYard just acts a damn fool, guys. Just acts a damn fool. Yeah, I can see myself. I'm fine. All right. We're good. Yeah, we're good. All right. So it's called Best Kept Secrets. It's kind of a funky little book she wrote, and I don't know why she wrote this book, but we're going to look at it real quick. I'm not going to share the medical records that I found from the hospital and her daughter. I will not do that. No, I will not. Okay, so let's get this book. Oh, no, go back. All right, it's a PDF that I found. All right, it's right over here. Let's go ahead and get that. Okay. Just a second. Now, come on. I saw the whole thing. It was like on this PDF thing that I had. Let me go see. Okay. I think I can pull it from this little spot over here. Okay. So she writes this little book. It's called The Best Secrets. Offers a chilling account of the true story of Diane Downs, a woman who shot her own children in cold blood. The narrative, it just delves into her manipulative charm, the psychology behind her actions, and the manipulation of the legal system. It exposes her ability to deceive investigators. She's always been a master manipulator, always, right? She's the thing is, when I did a comparison of her to Lori Vallow, they are very, very much the same. The difference is that Lori Vallow is the hyper-religious situation, and I'll go back up here. And Diane Downs is just because she wants love. She is very, the manipulation, it's crazy how bad it is. Okay, so let me come over here. I got to find this little thing that I had. I shut all those because it was kind of getting all confusing. It was like 20 of them over there. So let me find mine. All right, hold on. So whatever that final appeal thing, images. Okay, nope, go back. Damn it. Videos. No, I'm not going to show the video. I don't want to show the book video. I just want to read the book. Let's see. Yes, Diane Downs is, if anybody asks, yes, she's still in prison. She had a parole hearing. Now, I'll tell you what, I don't think she's going to make parole. She has been, I think she's been to the parole board 4 or 5 times. I think I found 5 different times that she's been to the parole board. So, yeah, hang on. Okay. Here we go. Oh, here's where I get it right here. Okay, it's loaded for me. Whoops. All right. Get myself back up here. Oh my goodness, come on. It's telling me it's not secure. It's not secure. I know that. It's okay. All right. Just hang on a second. I'll be there. I just have to get it to load up. It's kind of going through this cycling thing, which is so strange, but okay. Here's my PDF. Come on. I think it was like 337 pages, but like the print's real small. It doesn't even take up the whole page. It's kind of like, I don't know why it looks like that, but it does. So, all right, here we go. Oh no, hang on a second, guys. Yeah, this is it. So let me split the screen right quick so we can take a look at it. Okay, I gotta split my screen and all that mess. Split the screen. Okay, it's right there. And then turn on my StreamYard. Okay. Put it there. Okay. Hang on just a second while it loads up over here. Oh my goodness. Oh, damn it. Come on. It's right here. I've got 3 different ones open. It needs to come on up so I can read it. Okay. Hang on. Oh, shit. Stop. Okay. Here we are. There's we are. Now. I need to make this smaller. Okay. Here. We'll split the screen here. All right. Bring that back over there. Put myself back over here. Come on. Why won't it open up? Damn it. Come on. Okay. Hurry up, thing. Come on. Oh, my Lord. Well, we do have a timeline over here. Well, I'll wait on this to load up. We'll just talk about it. So she was born August the 7th, 1955. And here's the thing. Everything that she does or everything that's ever happened, anything in her life that's happened, it's all a conspiracy. She's so important. That's one of her problems, her mental problems, is she's so important that, everything's a conspiracy. Why is she so important? Why do people, it's so freaking crazy. It's really hard to understand. Okay, so I'm going to pull it up over here and see. Maybe it'll be easier. hang on a minute. My little PDF over here. Okay, good way. All right. But I mean, even when she's talking to the psychologist, she's talking to the parole board, no matter who she's talking to, she starts rambling on about this conspiracy theory. That she has an FBI file. Why is it an FBI file? Well, she has an FBI file because she committed murder. Come on. I mean, it's crazy. I've never seen anybody like her. I thought Lori Vallow was bad, but I'm going to tell you something. I do believe that Diane Downs is worse. I do. Downs, here we go. I'm reading off of here. Okay. All right. What's over here? Yeah, because it's not opening up right over here. Okay. PDF. Oh boy. Her own true story. Okay. Now. Get over here to I'm not going to read the acknowledgments. I'm just going to go to chapter 1 and we'll just start over there. All right. Okay, let's see. What do you need limit? Oh, come on. My God, I have this saved. Let me see if I can get it. I have it. It's right here, but it will not open up. Sync bookmarks. Okay. There we go. It's right here. Okay. I might not be, I'm here. You might not be able to see me while I read this to you because it's acting a damn, let's see. Oh, stop. I don't know where this is coming from. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to do that. That's somebody else's YouTube. I don't really like doing that. I like to do my own thing. I don't like to basically use their work. So let me get rid of some of these. Come back over here. Come on, open it up. Why won't it let me see that anymore? Okay, well, get rid of that right there, and I'll just have to reload it from over here. Okay. Okay, the open library. Let's see if we can get it from right here. Wow, this is crazy because I have it. It's on my but I can't, it won't let me open it over here to read it. I don't understand that. Okay, here we go. Okay. Let's see if it's going to open up right here. Okay. This is crazy. It's pissing me off so bad because I know I have it. Okay. I don't know if y'all ever remember if you read Ann Rule's book on this, but it really, I mean, it was good. Ann Rule did a really great job on the book. So, let's see. 26 different tabs. No wonder I can't get anything to open right. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Da, 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 da. Here we go. All right. Search story. Okay, small sacrifices. There was hurt. Scribd. This is okay. Listen to this. Okay, this is because I have scribd anyway. It's kind of small. I don't know if I can read it. It talks about her first parole denial. She has several. There's so many of them. I really need to see if I can get the overview. Okay. So, the overview on this one, it was 5 pages, but it's her. This document argues that Diane Downs should not be granted parole. It provides details of her 1983 conviction for the murder of her daughter and attempting to murder her other 2 children. It analyzes her personality disorders of histrionic, antisocial, and narcissistic tendencies, which are difficult to treat. Releasing her could endanger public safety as she shows no remorse and may reoffend. Her lack of family support and long prison terms have made her really unaccustomed to the life of outside, making rehabilitation unlikely. And I agree with that 100%. She got to stop and think, what is she going to do out there, right? I mean, it's going to be a huge problem. And I really wish I could pull up that damn thing that makes me so mad. Oh my God. Okay, why is this looking like this? Okay. Get rid of that new tab. Let's go ahead and share that. I gotta share the screen. Come on, stupid. I don't know why this thing acts like this. Makes me so mad because it's right here. I mean, it's right. There's the Wikipedia thing, which I don't like to do. I don't want to read the Wikipedia. I want the other one. Oh, I might be able to get it from right here. Hang on. I think I can get it from right here. You know what? I didn't know about her. I never knew she had a college degree, but actually she had an associate's degree in general studies that she got in the California prison system. So, okay, that's new. Okay. Let me go back over here and get this part. I know it's right here. Okay, go over here. See all the links. I think this might be where I want to be. See all the links. Okay. Come on. Ugh. This is what I want right here. Oh my God. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Oh my God. This is making me angry. I know I have it. It's right here. I can see it, but it won't let me share it on the screen over here. That's the craziest thing. Okay, here we go. Oh, this is interesting. This is from the Internet Archives. Here we go. So we'll go over here. This is from the parole hearings, etc. This is not YouTube. So listen to this. This is an interview. Well, it's 32 minutes. I don't know if I want to play the whole thing. Here's the hospital interview. Here we go. We'll let it play for a little bit. Here we go. Am I playing? Let me share the screen. Stupid. Okay, share. Oh, come on. Why is it not playing? Make the sound. I'm not going to make it big. I'm not going to do that. Let's go. Okay. I wonder if I have to download it first. Let's see. I'm picturing the picture. No, I want to hear it. I want to hear it, not look at it. Okay. Here. You hear any sound yet? Because I don't hear the sound yet. Oh my God. Why is it not working? StreamYard is sharing in the window. Right. We know it's trying to share. That's right. Remove it. We'll try to do it this other way. Listen to that. I guess this is from that. Okay. This is full credit to Internet Archives. Let me see if I can get this to work right. Okay. Let me get my little thing here. It's kind of low, but it is her talking. So let me turn it up for you. Okay. Yes. 32-minute interview. What if I make it big if you'll be able, let me see if you'll be able to see it like this. Full screen view. Hang on, guys. I don't know if it'll work that way. Yes, 19 very well is it. I wonder if you could just do it like this and share the. Yeah. Got it.
Took a shower, fixed my face, got the kids up at 5:45, and they got ready and went to Grandma's house at 6:15.
This way, so it changes how it looks.
Okay, I'm just gonna make sure it's going.
Okay. We went to Grandma's house at 6:15. I leave the kids there so I can go to work. I leave at 6:30 to get to work by 7. The kids have breakfast there, and the girls walk to school, and she watches Danny all day. And I left at 6:30, went to work. I had a cake that day. I'd made a bundt cake the night before.
It's not really helping me, is it? Oh, dang it. That's so sad.
And my parents and left it there that morning.
What if I
I
stop
got the
seeing
cake
this?
to work, and one of the
Fix
guys
that.
said,
Hold
well,
on.
it looks like the parade already got
Let's
there.
put the
And they
screen.
were referring to my kids, and I said, yeah.
No, that doesn't work, does it? Okay, let's put the screen.
So I did my work that day, did my job.
It's really just a recording. There's not really any pictures, you know.
I got off at 3:30.
So we'll just listen to the audio recording. Make sure you're there, okay. Your buzz, make sure. Is it working? Let me turn this on. I think that's okay. The sound's working right because I don't really hear it up here. I have to turn it back on if it changes it. Why can I hear it but you can't hear it? Oh, maybe it has something to do with this. Oh, geez.
God, it was horrible. And my little girl raised up in the back seat. She's the only one that raised up. And
Which one is that?
That's Chrissy. She's the one that's still here. And she raised up and she had such a look of terror or confusion or something. I don't know. There was just a look I'll never forget that I can't describe. And then she fell back on the seat and she grabbed at her chest. And God, it was just so that, and then he turned to me and he goes, "I want your car." And I was just aghast. I didn't know. I mean, I had to do something, so I faked throwing the keys to distract him because, like, he was a little bit bigger than me. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And I knew I couldn't beat him up in a fist fight, and he had a gun anyway. And I figured if I could distract him, if I could just draw his attention away, I could shove him and get the hell out of there. Sorry about my language, Recorder.
That's all right. That's all right.
And so I kicked him with my knee sort of and shoved him. And, well, as he was swinging around, when I threw the keys, he swung around and he shot a couple times. And one of them caught me in the arm. And it didn't even hurt. It felt like somebody had squeezed me, and that's all. It didn't even hurt. But I knew I'd probably been hit. At least physically I was hit. Whether he hit me with a bullet or hit me with a gun, I was hit somehow. And I shoved him, and I jumped in the car, and we took off. I put the key in the ignition.
Oh, it looks like that. So
And if he
strange.
fired after me, I have no idea, because Chrissy was laying in the back seat just choking on her own blood. And I kept telling her to roll over on her stomach so that she was drowning. She just drowned in that. It was, God. Cheryl was on the floor not making a movement or a sound, and Danny was in the back seat just crying so soft. She's going, "Mom," so soft. And I just kept saying how much I loved him. I told him, "Don't worry, we'll get away." I said, "We got hurt, but we're going to be okay." I kept telling Chrissy to roll over on her stomach, and I was driving as fast as I could. And Danny kept moaning, and I couldn't stop. If I'd stopped to roll Christy over on her stomach, she would have just been a panic blow back, and I'd have lost 5 seconds. And 5 seconds is a lot, and I couldn't stop it. So I just kept going. And we got out to the end of the road, and we got out on the Mohawk. That bridge out there on
Marcola?
Yeah. We got out on Marcola Road, and the bridge that goes over to McKenzie, and Christy stopped choking. And I knew that meant her lungs weren't working anymore. She wasn't breathing. I just kept saying, "God, do what's best. You know, if they gotta die, let them die, but don't let them suffer." And I kept driving. We got to the hospital. My arm was sort of starting to hurt a little bit, and I grabbed a towel and wrapped it around. I don't know what, the towel was maybe beside me. I don't know where it was exactly. We had been to the beach the weekend before, and it was a beach towel. It was the only one that got left in the car.
Kate, when did you wrap that towel around?
When I was driving, because it was starting to drop.
How far down the road?
I don't know. I don't know.
Down to the bridge?
It may have been at the bridge where I had to stop for a stop sign. I don't recall, honestly. I don't know.
You didn't stop before that?
No, I didn't. I just kept going until I got to the end of the road. I didn't stop at all. Which is ridiculous because he was on foot. He couldn't catch us, but he didn't stop. But I had to stop because there were cars coming, and I didn't want them to hit us. That's all we needed was that a car wreck, and Christy's already suffocating there.
So really...
At some point, I grabbed a towel and wrapped it around my arm.
But what I mean is that's about the only stop you had to make. Did you have to stop
No,
for signals?
I had to stop at 2 stoplights. I mean,
Did you go on the freeway down
Yes.
the
No.
road or out
No.
Marcola Road? So
Marcola.
Oh,
Just followed the Marcola Road out to the Mohawk.
did you?
And there was a stoplight there, but it was green, so we went on through it, and then we had to stop at one stoplight on the way here. So maybe it didn't take us that long to get to her. It just seemed like it took forever because she wasn't breathing anymore. It just seemed like it took forever. So maybe it didn't take that long. But anyway, so I got to the hospital. I laid on the horn. I wanted to grab my kids up and run in, but I couldn't. My arm was starting to hurt. So I laid on the horn, and some lady came out very indignant and flustered, having somebody doing such a thing in hospitals. And I told her to get the hell in there and get somebody out here to get my kids and call the cops. And she said, she just looked at me, and so I started to go in the hospital. I picked my arm up, it was hanging, I picked it up. I went in the hospital, and I said, somebody go out there and get my kids out of the car, they've been shot. And they did. They went out, and I went back
What a
down
thing to
again.
say.
Miss Cheryl, she was on the floorboard, and I said, there's another one on the front floorboard. She's under a sweater. And so somebody, the nurse or somebody went out and picked her up. She's the one that died. And I went back in. I don't think they even knew that my arm was hurt. It was all wrapped up. I was holding it, and they probably just thought I was holding myself, in pain. And I told the lady, call the cops right away. And she called a couple other people first, but I kept sitting there saying, call them. So finally she did. And she reported that there were 3 children that were shot. And then I finally told her, and I've been shot too. And she said, oh, okay. And so they took the kids in, and I went into the emergency room where they were working on them. Christy was just so... Christy and Cheryl both, they were yellow. Have you seen a dead person?
Oh my God.
Lots of them.
That's what I figured you probably have.
Lots.
But they looked dead. I saw a man a few months ago that hung himself. It was a neighbor. And he hung himself because
My God,
of lung
Sam.
problems or something. And I could see he was dead, and his wife just kept
Oh,
saying,
my
John,
God.
he can't be dead. She kept trying to revive him, and I didn't have the heart to say, hey, Mary, he's dead. But I could see he was dead. His eyes and his color, and his tongue was all swollen. He's dead. And that's just how Chris and Cheryl were. Just dead. I was devastated. It made me just sick. And Danny just kept crying, and I knew that was hope. I knew as long as he kept making a sound, he was okay. But when he was in the car, as soon as he got to the hospital, I laid on the horn and I got out. And I could see he was shot right to the middle of the back. And I just knew he'd been hit in his spine, but they said his legs hurt, so he wasn't paralyzed. I was just so afraid of him. So anyway, in the emergency room, they were taking care of the kids, and they were taking care of me pretty much, but I was mostly just answering questions. Everybody, I don't even remember everybody's name, but everybody that was asking anything, I was trying to give an answer to. And then they wanted me to go back out to the scene and try to point out exactly where we were. And so I said, yeah, fine. And they said, we want you to know that it's dangerous if you go out, something could happen, with my arm, because my arm hadn't been attended to at all. And I said, let's just go. I want, the sooner I show you where it's at, the sooner I can get fixed and better I'll feel. The longer we wait, the further away it's going to get. So I knew they were doing the best they could for my kids. They told me that Sherry was in pretty bad shape and probably might not make it. And I said, okay. So then they wrapped my arm up with something. Oh, they put it on a metal splint thing, wrapped it up with gauze, and I went out with the officer, somebody, a detective, I don't know who it was. I went with somebody from my dad. And I went out and showed them as close as I could to where we stopped. I also alerted them to the fact that there was a yellow car in the road because I had to go around it. It wasn't really off the road in the dirt. It was sort of half on, half off. And I said, wait a minute, there was a car back there. And he said, where? And I said, right back there. It was an old yellow kind of car, a medium-sized car. Not like the car that we were driving in, which seems big. But it was bigger than my car. You see my car, the little Nissan. Bigger than that, but it was smaller than this. So it's a medium-sized car. And it was yellow, an old yellow car. And it was an older car. And it had been there, and it wasn't there now. And so I told him that. And I said, I don't know if it's his car. It could just be maybe some kids were parking there. Maybe they were necking. Who knows?
You say that yellow car is like it's oxidized, or is it a pale yellow?
Like a pale yellow.
Okay. Was it a ratty-looking car? Or? you know, what we call ratty cars, and beat up,
Like dented.
dented, and not well taken care of.
It was not well taken care of, but it wasn't really dented up either from what I could see. I didn't notice it. I mean, who really looks at a car on the road? It was just an older looking car. It didn't look like it had been any major wreck or anything.
If it had a plate from out of state on it, do you think you would have?
No, I wouldn't have noticed it because I'm from out of state. And for all I know, everything is from out of state up here. All the Oregon plates still look strange to me. I still have Arizona plates on my car. So it's not strange for me to see it. And where I come from, everybody does. In Arizona, snowbirds. So I would not have noticed the
He's
plate.
just terrible.
So my dad asked me the same thing. He asked if it
Terrible.
was a different state. Like, there's a lot of Washington plates down here. And I just don't recall. I didn't look. And so, anyway, I said, well, the car was right back
She
there.
lives there,
I told him
Panic? No.
as I could where I thought the car was parked. There was a house out there, and it was right past the house, just before the trees. That's where the car was. And as we got past that, just a little ways, when it started curving like that, that's where the guy was. And I don't know if he was walking away or walking to me, because when I got there, he was already standing in the road flagging. And so I don't know which way he was walking at all. And so I told him all that, and then,
What would you describe him, Joe?
yeah. Okay, he's about 5'9", and I assume that because my ex-husband is about 5'8" or 5'9", and he's just about that height. I'm real bad
Too
with
much
height and
detail.
everything,
Listen
I
on that.
should
Too
know
much
that.
detail.
But he's about 5'9". He was medium build, but pushing towards being a little bit heavy. So we assume probably 150 to 170. Because my ex-husband is about 145, and he was heavier than Steve. He had darkish hair, but not black. It was like a brown, dark brown, whatever. His face was kind of stubbly. Not like a beard. Not like he had a beard, but like he hadn't shaved in a couple of days or something. His hair was kind of shaggy looking, like it had been cut in a shag, but not brushed out properly. His voice it wasn't high, it wasn't low, it was just a voice. No accents, no lisps. Nothing that would distinguish him outwardly from anybody else. He was wearing a t-shirt that was a light color, but it wasn't pure white. It wasn't something that would glow in the dark type. So I don't know if it was dirty or if it was a pastel or what, like maybe a beige, I don't know. And he had Levi jacket on and a pair of blue jeans.
Were those the old faded out type, or were they newer looking?
No, they were just older. I think, did you see the Levi's I was wearing?
Yes.
They had holes in them and stuff. I mean, I like old comfortable. They weren't quite that comfortable. They weren't holy or anything like that, but they were not real brand new.
Medium blue then,
Yeah.
not bright. You know how they are when they're
Yeah,
brand new.
they weren't
Outside.
brand new. Okay, let's see next. That describes him pretty well. Okay, so back to the scene. I showed them where everything was. And the guy that I was with, we drove to a couple of houses and looked around. My dad noticed we drove up in one yard. And my dad is a pretty observant person. He tries to watch everything. And when we drove up in somebody's yard, there was a light.
Oh, why is it doing that? Oh, come on.
On upstairs. And when we pulled up in the yard, it went off. And my dad mentioned it. Oh no, the policeman mentioned it. Wasn't there a light on up there before? And my dad said, yeah, there was. So my dad kept watching the window while the policeman, or the detective, whoever he was talking on his little phone, and I was sitting there just watching everything. And the reason we were there is because there were horses out in the field. And I never thought of this, but he says, I asked him how many dogs were going to be out looking, because I only saw one dog, and I just didn't think a dog would sniff very far, one dog. And he says, well, there's horses here. I said,
That's
don't
weird.
tell me a horse can sniff out a person. He goes, no, but a horse, if he tried to sneak to the field, a horse would be spooked. Whereas maybe we couldn't see him, the horse would sense him, which made a lot of sense.
She's
That's why
laughing.
there,
Nothing's
the
funny.
horses were spooking, which they weren't. And so, my dad said, hey, that light's back on. And I looked up there, and it was. And I just said, that's it. I ducked down in the seat. I said, one shot's enough. I'm not being anybody's spare target anymore. So I slunched down in the seat, and the light went off again. And We left. To me, that's kind of crazy. I would have, if I was a policeman, I think I would have at least knocked on the door because he lived out there and those were his friends anyway. I'd have knocked and said, at least, are you guys? I mean, sure, husbands and wives turn the lights on and off a lot. I used to. After you finish fooling around or whatever, you get cleaned up. So maybe that was it. But I don't think anybody feels like a fool knocking on the door if there's something serious. But he didn't. He said he'd come back later and check it out. So maybe he did that.
You probably did. I think
He wanted
maybe
to
he
get
wanted
me
to
out
get
of
you
there.
back to the
Yeah.
hospital.
He did, because we were on our way, and then he wanted to stop and see the horses. Because I told him, hey, I've told you all I can out here, and my arm is really starting to hurt. And so, yeah, he took me up to
2322,
This is my time. So he took me up to where you were up by the bridge, and then I went with you, and then he went back. So maybe at that time he did check it out. I'm sure he must have, because he lives in that area, he said, and those were his neighbors, and so I'm sure he probably did. But, you know, I went back to the hospital, and I tried to sneak in and see my kids, and they stopped me. So, yeah.
See that?
Thank you, yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Unbelievable.
I had to sit down. They came and told me that, no bad habits like that, man. You smoke it, don't chew gum. And they came. After this, everything happened so fast and so many things.
Well, we sat down and had a lot of questions to ask you,
Okay.
for sure.
Oh, yeah. We talked, but we went down and took x-rays, and we were talking there also. They did some tests on me. Then we went, after x-rays, we went back to an examination room. They wanted to see if I'd been hit.
It's unbelievable, really, when you listen to her.
And while we were in there, they told me that Christy had died. And then I was really confused because the way they had described it before, I knew how my kids were on the tables. Christy was here, Dana was here, and Cheryl was here. And they said the little girl on this table, Cheryl's table, was not making it. And so when they told me that Christy had died, I was crushed, because as I said, Christy's my favorite thing. I was confused, too, because Christy wasn't the one they said wasn't making it, but I sort of
You hear
accepted
that?
it
My
because
favorite
Christy was
was
the one that
Christy.
quit choking in the car. She was the one that was suffocating, and I could believe that she was dead. I kept saying, I want to see him, because I wanted to see who the hell was dead. Who was it? You want to know who to mourn for, who you're supposed to cry for. And they kept saying, it was Christy. And I said, okay. I was distraught. And then somebody else came in, a doctor or somebody came in and said, the preacher, pastor or whatever, the chaplain, came in and said that Cheryl had passed away. And I'm going, who is it? And he said, well, your father identified it as Cheryl. So then I knew that, because I said, that does it. You take me, I want to see who is alive. I don't want to see who's dead. I want to see who's alive. And he says, well, your father's already identified the dead girl as Cheryl. So then I knew that my dad knows the kids, and as soon as I came out, I know who it really was. And I can believe it because Cheryl didn't make a sound or move the whole time we were driving. They said that she was dead when she got there, and they just never could bring her back. So that's why they said she wasn't going to make it, because they couldn't bring her back at all. Which, I know she didn't suffer at least, and that's good. Because now it's the rest of us, we're going on, and I've got to go home and tell Chris and Cheryl, and Chris and Danny that Cheryl.
You hear that?
And, Chris, my God, I don't know how long she's going to be here. She looks so bad, but they say she's going to be okay. And they say that I was talking to my brother, and he works in a hospital, and his girlfriend is a recovery nurse or something like that. I don't know, she does something. And so she sees it all the time, and she says if Christy's answering questions, whether they're conscious or subconscious, if she's aware of enough that she's shaking her head or her head yes or no, then she's okay. Her mind is okay, which is great. Yeah, because she's so smart. She's almost a genius. She's just super, super smart. And it would just be devastating to think that she wouldn't be that way again. But anyway.
Just babbling, just babbling.
The first time I finally knew for a fact that it was really Cheryl that was gone was what night did I come here? Thursday. Wednesday morning, whenever they finally brought me to my room, they had told me before they took me to my room that I could see the kids, and I made them keep that promise.
Friday.
Yeah, early Friday, about 4 o'clock or something. And I got to see Chrissy, and then I knew for sure that it was Sherry that was gone. And my parents, I think my parents came in to see me. I don't remember when it was, but my mom was asking me Cheryl's favorite color. She's going to buy a dress. We're going to have a small service for her, and she wanted to buy Cheryl a new dress. Cheryl loved new dresses. And so I told her really, but I've been thinking I want it to be right. I mean, she's such a good kid. You just should be one. She's an angel now, so. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, then after that, I've just been going through emotions every day. You talk to people, you talk to old friends, and it takes your mind off of everything.
Okay. Let's go back to the day this happened. Did you have anything to drink that day?
No, I didn't.
Alcohol?
I like whiskey, but I haven't had any whiskey. And the last time I went to see Nick was a month ago, I think. Almost a month ago. I don't know, it's in my diary somewhere, but it's at least 3 weeks ago. And I got real drunk that time. I spent the evening at my ex-husband's house and I don't get along, so I had a lot to drink.
How long ago was that?
About 3 weeks ago.
So
And that was
you
in
went back to
Arizona.
Arizona?
Yeah, I was in
Okay.
Arizona when I did that.
But
But I
that
came
day,
back, no, I haven't had anything to drink in 3 weeks.
were you on any kind of drugs or medication
No.
or anything like that at the
No.
time? Okay.
I have smoked pot a few times in my life, but it's also been quite a while since I've done that. Lately, the kids and I have been so into doing things that I haven't. The reason that I drink and the reason that I, on occasion, smoke is when I feel lonely and depressed. And I guess that's the case with most people, but that's why I would do it. And so I never really drank when the kids were around at all. It was like on Friday night when Mom would take the kids, and I'd be alone in the house sitting and thinking and wondering why the hell Nick isn't here or whatever, you know, because he had promised we were going to be mates and we were going to raise the kids and everything was going to be just fine. And I couldn't understand why all that was different, and that's when I would drink. It's like Friday nights when the kids were around, because I'm a real conscientious mother, and I despise people that are lax in raising their kids, that can allow themselves to get drunk when their kids are around, because you can't tell when an emergency is going to arise, and the kid will need care, and you aren't able to do it.
She's a real conscientious mother. Did you hear that?
Immature, so I didn't do that around my kids. So, like I said, the kids and I for the past few weeks have just been hanging out and doing stuff together, and I haven't had a time to really do it or even want to do it. I got to the point that even in my book I told Nick, I think I love the kids even more than you. And
What about that area out there? How many times have you driven
I've
out?
never been out there.
Okay.
I've been out to Marcola once. I went to Heather's house once. No, twice. Once I went out there with her and my dad the first day that I got to Oregon to take her home, and it was at night, and I didn't know the area, and I didn't even know where we were. The second time I went was about 3 weeks ago. I drove straight out there and talked to Heather. She didn't have a phone, and I talked to her about coming into work, and then I came back. And,
So that was the third trip you
so that was the third trip, yeah. And that we took a different way. We took the back way this time.
How do you describe the back road?
Sunderman Road goes like this. And I can never remember the name Sunderman until I see it.
It goes off at the bridge there and
And it curves
it
back.
curves back around onto
Yeah.
the main highway.
Right.
How did you go in?
Okay, the first time I went all the way up Marcola just before the bridge. And then you turn, and the name is Sunderman. And I can like I said, I can never remember the name until I see it on the post, and then I know that that's the turning point. Well, when we were coming up, I knew that we were kind of close, but it was starting to get kind of dusky out, and so I wasn't real sure of the trees and the sites, you know, the land areas. So I wasn't positive where to turn, and I knew there was supposed to be a bridge, but I wasn't sure where. And then all of a sudden I saw the word Sunderman. I said, well, that's
So
it.
many excess
So I
details.
turned and I'm going,
Listen carefully.
guys, this
Listen
isn't the
details.
road.
Do detail
And
of
I said, let's
detail.
go back. And they're always full of help. And I said, no, I know Sunderman is the name. And so we just kept going and going. And then I realized we finally got to Heather's house, and I said, that was the back road. It takes a lot longer, but that was the back way. It seemed longer maybe because we didn't know where we were going.
Is that Heather Fleur?
Yeah. She's a real sweet kid. She came in to see me yesterday. She went to work and she just said, Daddy, I can't do it. because we started there at the same time. She tried to get on at my dad's post office and work, but Eugene hired her first, and she was real sweet. We got kind of close because we started the same day, 2 subs in a new city, and so.
When did you start there?
I started in Eugene about 7 or 8 weeks ago.
See how much longer this first video is.
An opening came up in Cottage Grove.
Oh, it's almost over. We're going to go to
Which is a real
interview
small
number 2.
town, you get a lot more experience. You get to cover a lot more area, clerk work, carrier work, and 204B work, which is the supervisor.
Okay, sorry guys. All right, this is going to be interview number 2, right here. Oops, here we go. Sorry. Oh, it's right there. Okay.
Surprise.
Give it a minute to start while it goes too. Hang on. Here it goes. Okay, this is going to be interview number 2 at the hospital, Diane Downs.
Are you afraid now? Are you scared?
She should be afraid.
Okay, well, this tape, apparently the tape recorder had stopped and we weren't aware of it for how long? 10 minutes or so?
I would say 10.
Well, anyhow, we've been discussing quite a bit, and the recorder was off. Okay, we were coming off Sunderland Road, and you turned right, which would have been taking like northeast direction, or northeasterly direction, toward Marcola, but you didn't go clear to Marcola.
Right.
I think that's what you were saying.
I went up to where the front side or the back side, you call it, Sunderman Road is,
Yes.
right up there by the bridge, and that's it. And then we came back down, and
I think I'd asked you how.
This is about
how fast
28
you
minutes.
usually
Yeah.
drive that, and you
usually
said
go
you were
about
going slow.
35 or so. Yeah.
People honking.
No, there was
Okay,
hardly
and-
anybody out on the
I
road.
mean, when you drive like that, is that how you usually drive out to that area?
Well, we haven't been out to that area the kids and I have never been out in that area, ever.
Now just keep
But
listening.
whenever
I'll
we
be
do,
right
we're
back.
driving, it's that slow. And no, there's hardly ever anybody. We usually go in the evening because that's the quietest time of the day for us. We've already had our supper and the kids are being wound down from school and stuff like that. So that's usually we go out towards the evening and do our driving, and nobody's ever out. Everybody's at home eating.
You mentioned about, you just said you'd never been out in that area ever.
Except that my dad took me about 2 weeks after I got here. He took me up Marcola to, I don't know wherever that is up there and it crosses over, but anyway, somehow we got on Deerhorn Road and we came
Okay.
back down Deerhorn.
But you'd been out to the Plurds before.
Right, I've been out to Heather's
A couple
house.
times.
Yeah, the first night I was here, we went out to Heather's. I took her home. My dad showed me how to get there, and it was at night. And I didn't remember it very well, but I
How did you
remember.
meet her?
We started. Whenever you start in a post office, you have to go. Excuse me, you have to go through training,
Oh,
and
she's with the post office department.
yeah,
Oh.
she's a carrier also. And we started the same day, and we were in the same training class. We were the only 2 people in the training class, so that's how I met her.
All right. And what else were we talking about that didn't get on the tape?
Mostly about Nick.
Oh, you'd made a phone call and
Yeah,
talked with
Karen.
Karen. Okay.
Karen, which is the girl. Right. I was saying how I didn't want Nick to find out about this because Nick is the type of a person that doesn't like hassles. I explained to you how I had viral meningitis at the first of the year and he turned his back on me. And I don't really think it was so much the illness as the fact that it was a kink. It was something that he had to deal with and he didn't want to. He likes a nice, smooth life. He likes women to take care of him and cater to him, and he just sits back. All he has to do is work.
Is that what you do?
And yeah, but so does his wife.
Oh.
But so he's got it made either way. But he enjoyed being with me more. We had a lot more things to do that were fun. There were
Wow.
just ways that I made him happier than she did, and so that's why he felt a stronger attraction to me.
So he's married.
But with me
Okay.
being out of the state, the attraction, if he wanted to have just a little bit better. He's got it fine with his wife. They don't get along all the time, but basically
That's
they do.
ridiculous.
But if he wants the stronger attraction with me, he had to move to Oregon, and he didn't want to. So anyway, that was a kink. But I was saying that I didn't want to tell him about this incident because I knew it would scare him off for good. And I didn't want that. I don't know what I had hoped, I guess, just that he'd never find out or something. But how do you not find out when somebody died? But I guess I just didn't want to face him with it. I just didn't want to talk to him about it yet. But I called to talk to some friends about old times.
Why is she talking about a man?
Just get your mind
Why is
off
she talking about a
all
man
the
with her
stuff
children
that's
and
happening
dead?
here. And I
Her
talked to
shot
Karen. I
about a
tried to
man.
talk to Chuck, but Chuck was already out on the street. So I talked to Karen, and she said that I should talk to Nick. And I said I didn't know, and then she said, well, he's right here. And so she went and got him and told him that I'd been
Damn
shot and the kids
ridiculous.
had been shot. And so he came and talked to me, and he said, well, Diane, you sure did it this time. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, I told you never to stop for anybody on the road. And I said, yeah, I know. What do you do now, you know? And he says, well, I bet you never do it again. I said, you're right, I won't. And there was no real consolation there. He did say, take care of yourself. But he also said, don't come back here, I don't want to see you. And it just really crushed me because what I really needed was a hand to just hold me and make me feel like everything's not as bad as it is. There was a time once when I was sick and he taught me how to make a hot toddy. I mean, that's as close as he got, but at least he extended a hand. And this time he didn't even do that. I don't know, it just was not good. And I knew it wouldn't be because Nick doesn't like kinks. He doesn't like wrinkles in the works. So this morning he was talking to Barbara. I called Barbara this morning to talk to her. And yes.
Barbara.
She's the lady at the carrier bar. She hands out accountables to the carriers. They have to take out postage
And this
stamps and
is in
stuff like
Arizona?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
I called her and talked to her because I had just been talking to Barbara about an hour or two before we took off. I was telling her how great things were and how the kids and I were going to the park and the river and the beach, and the kids they found some sand dollars and a crab claw and all kinds of stuff. You know, I'm telling her how great things were. And she said it sounds like things are neat. She's ready for a move and all that stuff. And so anyway, I just needed to talk to her again, just to see if she knew what had happened. And so I called her this morning, and she said that Nick came up to the carrier bar, and she said, well, I suppose you heard what happened to Diane. And he said, yeah, I did. And it sounded kind of harsh to her, and so she looked at him like, and she said, well, doesn't it bother you? And he says, I don't know, Barb. I just hope I'm wrong, but I think she did it. And she says, my jaw just dropped down the floor. Couldn't believe he said that. And she said, don't you know how much Diane loves those kids? He goes, yeah, but she loves me too. As if he thought that if I killed the kids, I'd get him or something, which it would be the
She
furthest
just
thing
told
from
herself
truth,
right there.
because
She just
I
told
know how
herself.
much he hates kinks. And so it devastated her, and I'm shocked. I can't believe he'd say that. And as I said before, as soon as I'm well enough, I'm going to go to Arizona and I'm going to ask him why he would say such a thing, why he would even think such a thing. And as I was saying also, the only thing I can imagine is that he went home and told his wife what happened, and she probably said, well, it figures she's that type of a person because she's done everything else she could to defame me. And this would just be the final piece. And maybe he is just trying to find an easy out. Maybe it's a defense mechanism for him. He has to choose between her and me. He loves us both equally. And right now it's easier for him to stay with her because she's right there in the state. But he also can't deny the fact that he loves me. He never could. When I talked to him the other day, something was said about... He had tears in his eyes. Oh, I know. It was when I saw him. I said, you can't tell me you don't love me, Nick. He says, no, I can't. And he does. And he couldn't deny the love. So maybe this is his way, his subconscious way of saying, hey, I don't love you anymore, and trying to live with it. Maybe if he thinks that I'm really as ugly as everybody is saying that I am, it's easier for him to accept that, and then he doesn't have to make a decision. So I don't know. I don't understand him totally. I used to. I don't anymore. I guess I don't understand it because I can't understand how he could think that of me, because, like I said, think of me as I am, not as people say I am. And
You think he's influenced by
Charlene?
more than one person?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Laura. Laura's a clerk, and she despises me. Laura was, I don't know. Laura and I didn't, we got along fine as long as I was doing what Laura wanted. But if I did anything, like I said, I'm an independent, outspoken person. I'll say what I want when I want.
I was going to say that would be like meeting fire with fire.
Right.
Like me.
Exactly.
How can she be
So we
laughing?
locked horns a lot.
I don't know
Only
how
Laura
she-
had a wicked tongue, and I wouldn't. I would not spread evil gossip about anybody because that's as bad as stabbing somebody in the back. Whatever you do to their
Unbelievable.
character while they're living is worse than killing them. But she had no qualms about it. And I get along with guys just fine. There are very few guys that I truly respect, totally. But I do like guys. And I get along with them. I like girls. I get along with them. But nobody makes a big deal about the fact that you have female friends. So if you have male friends, that's all bad. Well, I had a male friend that was married. And his wife didn't like the fact that he and I would talk. Even though we were working together, she hated it. And she was a friend of Laura's. And Laura decided that this guy and I were having a real heavy-duty affair, which was not the case at all. And so she spread it around the whole post office that Diane is a real whore. People like to believe the worst of anybody. And because Mike and I did talk together, and we'd go out with the guys for a drink after work sometimes and stuff like that, it must have been true to everybody. And
Such
so
BS.
Laura has a way
I eat up a
of spreading that gossip around, and it's very sad. And I lived with it. I lived with it for, 2 years I was in Chandler. And I laughed it off or sloughed it off or yelled it off. One day, this thing about this one specific guy, I went into work and they were giving me hell about it. And I said, all right, you guys, goddammit, I am not having an affair. I am not sleeping with anybody. And you guys just lay off this person. Leave him alone and quit telling his wife that he's doing all this stuff. It's driving her crazy. And Laura goes, I didn't say anything about that, Diane. I said, I don't care what the hell you're going to tell me. I'll just shut the fuck up. I really yelled at her. And there were about a dozen guys
Just
in the
on
office at the
herself.
time. And they heard all that. And after that, everything straightened up because they finally heard from the horse's mouth that it wasn't true. They weren't hearing the gossip anymore. They were hearing facts.
A lot of gossip around lots of offices.
I know. It is. It's true. It's like a big family.
It's a waste of time.
It is. And it's very dehumanizing. It's not only bad on the people that are being gossiped about, it's bad for the people doing the gossip because it's a sickness and it gets worse and worse and worse. So I won't do it myself, but Laura is real good at it. And we don't do
Nick,
it.
I asked you for Nick, and you said his name was
Robert Knickerbocker.
Robert.
Terrible name.
When's the last time you go back to see him?
About 3 weeks ago. I think it was, yeah, 3 weeks ago.
Did you, what was that meeting like? I mean, was it
Yeah,
pretty
it was-
volatile or
No,
a good
it was
meeting?
real nice. I went out to see him. See, I had been talking to my supervisor. Nick and I were the best carriers in the office. We were fast, we were good, and we were efficient. And he could send us out to do our whole route and then come back in and go out and do a half of another route and expect the same performance. We could be out on the
Same pay?
street. Yeah. We'd be out on the street for 6 hours and we'd be doing just great. And so Nick and I were his favorites, his pets. Well, I transferred. Gammy couldn't stop that. But when Nick said he was going to transfer, Gammy said he'd fight that. He's not going to lose both of us. And so after I left, Gammy started telling Nick, no, you've got to stay, you've got to stay, you've got to stay. And so whenever Nick all of a sudden did an about face and decided he was going to stay, I called Gammy, who knew us better than anybody, well, pretty well. He knew Nick as well as anybody. I called and asked him what was wrong. He goes, Nick doesn't like you anymore. He really doesn't want to talk to you. He doesn't want to hear from you. He really doesn't care, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going, how can a person that we've been together for a year, how can all of a sudden in a week he decide no? And he doesn't want to see me, and he's afraid I'm going to come back to town, et cetera, et cetera. What's going on? So, and his wife had been calling and harassing me. She called my parents, tried to tell my mother what a whore I was. That Charlene is his wife, his next wife. She would write to me and tell me all these. Basically what she was saying to me about me wasn't so bad. Like I said, I can live with that. I didn't like what she was saying about him. And so, anyway, Danny was saying terrible things, Charlene was saying terrible things. And so I decided to go back and find out who Nick.
Cam on the end, 310 window, please.
what was true and what wasn't true. Yeah, that's
Still going?
It's still going.
Okay.
So I went back out there and I borrowed Chuck's car. Chuck is a sweetie and he's a real good friend of mine. And I called him up that morning. I said, hey, Chuck, can I use your car? And he goes, where are you? And I said, I'm in town. Can I use your car today? And he goes, sure. Keys are in the ashtray. Take it. And so I did. And I went out on the street. And first I went and I saw Chuck. And he gave me a big hug and a kiss and said, boy, I miss you, Diana. I wish you'd never left. And I said, yeah, me too sometimes. And then I went...
Why did you leave, by the way?
Okay. I left because my parents have been trying to get me to transfer up here for 2 years because of the grandkids. And I've been putting it off and putting it off because of Nick. Nick and I have been together for a year. For the first year, I was pregnant with a surrogate baby, and as I said, my parents, they don't really like it. And so I didn't want to bring it here and defame them in the community because they thought badly of it. And so I stayed there for 2 years. They really only tried for the past year, I guess, getting me up there. But I was with Nick, and I didn't want to leave. Well, I could see Nick. He would come and be with me, and he wanted to be with me. And then the guilt would override him, and his wife's nagging, and her perplexed questions on Nick, I don't understand what's happened to us, etc., the guilt would just flood in on him, and he'd go back to her. And then he'd come and tell me, no, Diane, we can't keep this arrangement anymore because it's driving me crazy. And I'd cry and I'd say, fine, whatever. And within a week, he'd be right back because he really enjoyed being with me. We really were a good team. We worked good together. We laughed together. We could do anything together and complimented each other. We were just made for each other. And he couldn't fight that. And he loved me, and he couldn't fight that. But he would always be overridden with the guilt about her, too. He says, one day he said, at night when I go home, he and his wife used to sit at the kitchen table and talk. He goes, I can't even sit and talk to her anymore because I see you instead of her. And he says, I just can't do it. When I lay down at night in bed, I think about you instead of her. And I can't keep doing that. And so...
He told you this just...
No, this was a long time ago. A long time ago. And that's why I say it's a pattern. He would stay with me.
Nasty
He'd want to
language.
be with me, but he would stay with her out of obligation. And she would say something ugly about me. She finally found out what was going on, and she'd say something ugly about me, and he'd jump right to it. That does make sense. That's why he said that. He'd jump right up and believe it. Because he said, she's never lied to me before. Why would she lie to me? And then it would turn out I could prove to him that it wasn't true, whatever she'd said. And he would say, oh, okay. And just different, I can't think of any specific instances right now, but different little things like that. She would, like, okay, one time she said I called and hung up on her. And Nick says, where were you last night at 4:30? And I said, I was driving from here to Phoenix. And he says, why? And I told him why. And he says, oh, why? And he says, because Charlene got a hang-up phone call. And she says, it was you, and I just wanted to make sure it wasn't. But he believed her until I could prove to him that I was on the road. How the heck am I going to call? So it's just things like that. He's too ready to believe the worst. Like, typical, I guess. I never thought that of him. I never thought of him as a typical person, but I guess in a way he is. But he doesn't like kinks, like I said, and if I'm calling and harassing Charlene, he doesn't like it. But anyway, so he was caught between doing what he wanted to do and what he felt that he needed to do. So this last time he moved out of his place, he was living in an apartment. He and I were getting along just fine. And then Charlene did something, and it just screwed him up real good. And he said, that's it. I'm taking off for Texas. They came from Texas. I'm going to go think for a while. And he took off for 2 weeks and didn't tell me he was leaving or anything. And I was pretty much staying with him at the time. And he had been promising to make me popcorn and stuff like that, which he never got around to making the popcorn because I would stay with my kids in the evening. After they would go to sleep and my sister would come home, I'd go on over to Nick's. So and it was usually late enough that it was too late to make popcorn and sit and eat in the middle of the night. You know? So anyway, he took off for Texas at this time. He was gone for 2 weeks, and during that 2 weeks, Eugene Morgan called and said, hey, do you want to transfer to Eugene?
That's ridiculous.
Yes. And the reason I took the transfer was because I couldn't stand to watch him go crazy forever. He would have forever gone back and forth between her and me, and it never would have resolved anything. I would have been his mistress forever and ever. And I don't like that. I'm better than that. I deserve better than that. I deserve as much as anybody else. And so I couldn't stand there and watch that anymore because he'd get real bad headaches. It was just bad on him. And so when he came back, I was supposed to leave in about 2.5 weeks, and he came in 3 weeks. And he came back from his trip, and I said, Nick, I'm leaving. I explained to him that I was leaving. And he says, okay, that's fine. He's hard-headed as can be, and I still love that about him, but he's bull-headed, stubborn, male pride, chauvinist, if you want to call it, but I still love him. And he says, fine, Diane, maybe it's best that way. And that isn't what I wanted to hear, but I expected it of him. And I says, but I do want you to have some pictures that were taken of me, some professional pictures. Did you see the pictures on my TV?
Yes.
The pictures of me. And the pictures of Nick. The pictures of Nick on the TV is the man. That's Nick.
That's who that is.
Yeah.
We were wondering.
Yeah, of course, who else would it be? So anyway, I wanted him to have those pictures of me because I was going to be gone. And he saves pictures of, he's not a flip person. If he loves somebody, he loves them, and that's it. It's never, he doesn't just sleep with anybody. And so I wanted him to have pictures because he had pictures of every girl that he'd ever really been close to, and so I gave him the pictures. And he took them and he said, okay, fine. Then the next day after work, he said, Diane, I want you to come over to the apartment for a while.
I need to check that
And I said,
back.
why? He goes, because I want you to take some rain gear. It rains a lot in Oregon, and I had no rain gear. I was from Arizona. I'd only been a carrier for 2 years, and he was from Texas, where it rains a lot.
Does it rain a lot in Oregon?
Yeah. I'm finding out that it does just a little bit more there, but it's a nice rain. It really is. So he says, I want you to come get some rain gear. I don't need it here in Arizona, and you just come and get it and take it with you. And I said, okay, fine. So I went to his apartment, and he ended up teasing me. And I said, Nick, please don't tease me. So we ended up fooling around. And then I looked at him later, and I said, why did you do that? And he goes, because I was teasing, and it wasn't fair. So we ended up fooling around, and then the next day, it was the next day, after work, he was just fine. He was just the same old Nick. We were still buddies at work, still real close, but there was no real intimacy. We were just, but that's what I really loved about us. We didn't have to ever really fool around. There was just an intimate closeness that a lot of people never have. And I'll never forget that, and I'll never regret the fact that I had a relationship with him because of that. He made me feel special no matter what. So anyway, there was still that closeness between us, and he couldn't take it away, and he couldn't deny it. And that night, it was on a Wednesday, he called me up about 9 o'clock, and he goes, Diane, do you still want that popcorn? I went, yeah, where are you? And he says, I'm at the apartment, come on over. Well, up until then, he'd been back at Charlene's house. So I went over there, and I was sitting on the bed. It was just a one-room apartment type thing. I was sitting on the bed, and he was walking around straightening stuff up and dusting because he hadn't been back there since he had gone to her house. And he's super clean. I mean, the man irons his Levi's. He's immaculate. And he was walking around, and I said, I kept biting my tongue, and I said, Nick, I am dying to find out what is going on. And he goes, nothing. I haven't been drinking. I haven't been smoking. Charlene and I haven't had a fight. I'm just not happy there. I'm not comfortable with her. I want to be with you. And I said, fine. And so from that point on, he said, I want you to move in with me and stay here, at least till you have to leave. And I said, okay. And then as the 2.5 weeks progressed, I fly, and I was taking flying lessons at the time, and I soloed before I left. And I was doing all kinds of stuff. He was doing all kinds of stuff. He went out flying with me one time, and he got to pilot the plane, and we just had so much fun. We'd go out with our friends and have our farewell parties and stuff, and it was so good. We were so happy. Once I was cooking supper, and he started big old tears got in his eyes, and I went over and I kneeled down and I said, what's the matter? And he says, it just makes me so sad when I think of you leaving. I mean, there were so many promises that were made, so many dreams that were planned. And he says, I want you to ask the postmaster to let you stay. And I said, okay. And he had this gold chain that he's been married twice. That's another reason he hesitates to get divorced again, because he's already been divorced once, and he's afraid they're trying her out, you know. He worries about it, because he is a person that likes to be cared for the rest of his life, and I guess Charlene had convinced him that I was unstable, and yeah, it all makes sense. God, of course Charlene says I did this. That makes me even more unstable, and Nick really wouldn't trust me. Anyway, all this comes together as I talk. I'm sorry, things in my mind come out. So.
Fine.
She is unstable.
Okay, so he had this chain that he got from his first wife. She bought it for him, and she was a real bitch. And he got real mad at her one time and ripped it off and threw it at her because she would always throw it up and say, well, look what I did for you. I bought that chain. It was $150 or $200 or whatever. And look what I've done for you, and you're doing nothing for me, et cetera, you know. Yeah, that's exactly what he thought.
Big deal.
Big deal. So he ripped it off and threw it at her and didn't put it on until he was getting his divorce. And then he put it on, and he's worn it ever since. Well, he and Charlene had a real big fight a few months ago, and she ripped it off, gouged a big hole in his neck, and broke it. And that's the second time he's been off in his life. And she went and got it fixed and apologized and everything, and he put it back on. He's the only person that's ever worn that chain. It's only been off those 2 times. And when I was there at the apartment one night, I wear 2 gold chains with a diamond on it. And he goes, take that shit off your neck. And I went, what? My gold and diamond? He says, yeah, take it off. And I took it off, and I said, all right, why? And he goes, because you're going to wear this. You're a mixed woman. And I said, okay. And he took his chain off, and he put it around my neck. And if that isn't love, I mean, the chain that's never been off his neck except in 2 heated battles, there's nothing. There's so many promises and so many deep feelings. I know he really cared.
Did he take that back? Or?
No. He did ask if I would send it back. And I said, I can't take it off. He told me, don't you ever take that off. When I went back to Chandler this last time to see him, that's what we were leading up to, his attitude. When I went back to Chandler this last time to see him, one of the purposes was to find out who was lying. Was Gammy and Charlene lying, or was my heart lying? Was all the things that Nick and I did together, all the happiness that we had, was that all just a lie, or does he really love me? And maybe he's trapped there for a reason. Like I said, Charlene's family has money. Maybe he's afraid of being stuck. I don't know. He has admitted that. He says, what if they stick me with all the bills and get nothing? What if she gets a huge amount of alimony and we've got nothing and stuff like that? He's afraid of money and power, and her family definitely has that. And so I had to know for myself who was lying, Gammy and Charlene or my heart. And so I went back there and I saw Nick. And I just walked up and I said, hello, Nicky, how have you been? And he said, fine. What are you doing here, Diane? And I said, I just talked to him. And I said, this chain is not my chain. I don't care if it's $500 worth of gold or not. It doesn't mean a damn thing except the love that you put around my neck. And it's not mine. It's not mine to keep. And if you don't want me, to be mixed woman anymore, then I shouldn't have it. And I said, I want you to have it back. And I tried to take it off and I still couldn't. I said, I just can't do it. Will you please unhook it? So he did declasp, and then I took it out of his hand and I said, I'm going to do the same thing to you that you did to me. I took it out of his hand, I put it on his neck, and I said, you wear this because I love you. And we talked,
He's so
and
bullshit.
he wrote to me. He's only written to me once when I first got here, before Charlene started lying. And he wrote me a neat letter. He says, what we had was so special. We never even had to fool around. There was just something between us that was so good, and I can't wait till I'm there and we can do it again. Something along those lines. But he was saying how special everything was. And I said, with that letter, you can't tell me you don't love me, Nick. He goes, no, I can't. But it can't be, Diane. You're over there and I'm over here. Because the only way we could be back together is if it was the way it was before. And no, he said, no, I said, you're my very best friend. And he goes, no, it can't be. And I said, why? And he says, it can either be the way it was before or not at all. And I says, don't use a slip of the tongue. Don't tell me I can move back to Arizona and everything will be like it was before if you don't mean it. And then he caught himself and he looked at me and says, no, it can't. Don't come back to Arizona. So it was all I needed to know was that he loved me. I don't want to possess him. I love sharing my life with him, and there were so many promises that were made, but I don't want to possess him. All I wanted to know is that he loved me and that our love wasn't a hoax. He wasn't just playing me on. Because that would just devastate me, because he's the only man I've ever truly respected 100% and never doubted once. And that would just kill me if he did. And he didn't. And that's all I needed. And I went home and I was so happy, and I told my parents, Nick loves me. Whether he's here or not, it doesn't matter. He loves me. And that's all I needed to know. And my mom says, you really shouldn't worry about it. Nick is a smart man. They really like him. My mom said, Nick is a smart man. For all you know, he's getting a divorce right now, and he's making your name finally look good for the first time in that post office. everybody said the reason he and Charlene weren't getting along was because of me. Well, it just so happens he and Charlene weren't getting along for 2 years before he even met me. Had nothing to do with me. You can't ruin a good marriage. And so my mom says just play it cool and let it go. And now with this, it'll never happen. Never. So far, so good.
Yeah, it's still going. Well, we've just about run out here.
Told you I'm
And
windy. I'm sorry.
I think we ought to take a
break.
little break. I've got to walk down the hall, and you probably might like to do the same thing. We'll leave you here for a while.
Okay, so they take a break, and that's the end of that. Did you listen to her? Okay, so she starts out with all this bullshit that has nothing to do with anything at all, except that she's cheating, that she's with a man who's cheating on his wife, and that it's just a bunch of goodwilly God, unbelievable, all about herself. What about your babies? So see, I mean, there's the part that we read with all the little PDFs or the little statements from other people saying that this guy confessed, this guy confessed, this guy confessed. And then you have all of this over here. When you listen to this over here, you're going, no, I don't believe the guy did it. I think he's just saying that. I don't really believe he did it. I still think she did this no matter what. Okay, even if they do test this new DNA supposedly, I'm sure it's going to be negative. Okay, she did this. She did this because she wanted to be with a man who did not want any children. This is not the first woman to do this. I want y'all to stop and think about this. Lori Validebo did the same thing. She absolutely did the same thing. Chad, if you think about this, I'm pretty uncomfortable, y'all. My little leg's been hurting me, the one from my fall down the stairs. Anyway, Chad Daybell did not want to raise any more children. His children were grown. And he says to her, well, all of her children were dark. None of his children were dark. Think about it like that. So, I'm going to plug my damn, turn my little computer, plug it back in. But, I mean, her statements, the stories, all of it, ultimately, it's just garbage. I got to turn, let me plug the guys, hang on. Oops, don't do that. Plug it in. Come on. I got it right there. Okay, anyway. So all of that is it's just all garbage. It's hard to believe that she thinks anybody's going to believe that. Till this day, she still sits in that prison and says that she's innocent. You know who else said he was innocent? Think about it. Yeah, Stephen Stearns. He said he was innocent, right? You know who else said she was innocent? Letitia Stout said she was innocent, right? Guess who else was innocent? And they absolutely did what they did. Adam Montgomery, remember him? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They're all innocent, aren't they? There's always somebody else's problem. Hang on, get some water. Cough there. I mean, she has to know that nobody's going to believe this mess ever, because she's sitting there telling us it was for a man. She's sitting there telling us for a man in these interviews, absolutely 100%. And she's, listen to this part. And this is called Diane Downs' Innocence. Let's listen to this for a second. No, honey, you're not innocent. Hang on, let's go.
I'm here with Eric Mason and James Frederickson. Eric is a reporter turned private investigator who covered the Diane Downs case 30 years ago. A shooting happened that involved her children. James Frederickson, Diane Downs' brother. James is looking for information at this point. There are questions about the conviction. Eric, you were there. Can you start by explaining what your memories are about the Diane Downs case that you covered, and the fact that your timing as a reporter was very much in line with this case?
Well, I was just a brand new recruit there at the NBC station. I had just finished University of Oregon School of Journalism and came to work there. We had put KMTR on the air in those first 2 weeks. Some of the newscasts were without sound. And so we were this fledgling news operation, and certainly it was the biggest story in town. It was the biggest story of the state. It became national, and for all of us, it was this huge opportunity because here was a gigantic story in our backyard.
Absolutely gigantic. James, let's go right back to the beginning. I mean, what a shock it must have been for you to hear this. Can you tell me how the information initially came to you?
So I was at my house in Lodi, California, and the phone rings like at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's my dad on the other end. And he says, your sister and her family have been attacked, and your niece, Cheryl, is dead. It was just surreal.
I don't imagine, that you even ever completely recover
Yeah.
from news like that.
Yeah.
So here you are 30 years later, and you have questions about a lot of different components of this case.
Absolutely.
And in a general sense, you keep learning more.
Every day that I read on this, I mean, she never held a gun.
Now let's talk about that for a moment. Ballistics in court demonstrate that when a person fires a gun, there's blowback, it covers their hands. This didn't exist.
No. Actually, the night of the shooting, they put this liquid to check to see if she held a gun, fired a gun, and it was dripping off her hands. We did it at 2 in the morning, I believe is what it was. And she never held a gun. She had never fired a gun. Didn't have any blood spatter on her, no gunpowder, residue, nothing.
Eric, you covered the case almost in its entirety. You were sharing some thoughts earlier about, when you look back, and what's your impression of that experience in that case?
Well, a number of other reporters covered the actual night that it happened and some of the aftermath. So I came in later. I was working, by the time the trial happened, I was working for the CBS station in Portland and covering the trial every day. And so my experience is kind of through the lens of the trial and watching the defense work, watching the prosecution work, and really coming to some kind of conclusion that the defense that was mounted was not very aggressive. I mean, really it was more along the lines of, here's Diane, here are the pictures of her life, how could this woman have done this crime?
What a monster.
And they really didn't attack things in terms
A
of
damn monster.
alternate suspects, developing the alternate suspects, going and looking at what later becomes a person of interest in the case, after the fact now. And so as a result, I think really the jury was very well molded by the prosecution, who had, a very good narrative set up for Diane and the motives for why she would want to shoot those 3 children.
If all the information from the prosecution, if everything they had wasn't shared with the defense, as you were explaining earlier, 50 Shades of Gray, it's a very complex case. Would that not make it easier for either side to perhaps, throw information in that, it gets complicated. Can a jury really keep up with ballistics and this type of thing?
Well, I think they can. I think a jury, juries are, for the most part, fairly intelligent and follow the information, but when they're not given something in the alternative, that is that this could have been done by a biker gang, this could have, and to be able to develop an alternate theory of what happens, there doesn't seem to be really an alternative theory by the defense except this shaggy-haired stranger did it, and that was kind of laughable. People heard that and just thought to themselves, that sounds like a story, and because there was no name or identity or fleshing out of this shaggy-haired stranger, it just seemed like a myth, at the time of the trial.
Right.
Stuck to the story, though, didn't they?
I agree with him.
Yeah.
And, it is laughable. But what if it's truth?
And in reading about it over the years, I've always wondered, and from the standpoint of, someone who does criminal defense now and post-conviction relief, that missed opportunities by the defense form what becomes ineffective assistance of counsel that then becomes the potential for a new trial for somebody like Diane Downs.
Yeah, and he was quoted as saying, actually, that, there was 300 pages withheld, and he was quoted as saying, if I'd had access to those, I could have put on a better defense.
And this is...
I don't know what exactly his wording was.
This is Mr. Jagger?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about the fact that the oldest daughter of Diane Downs ultimately gave court testimony. But this child was also adopted by the district attorney. Was Fred Hughey the DA?
This is kind of
Was he
important
the
here.
actual DA, or was he
was a
the
deputy
prosecutor?
DA.
Okay, deputy DA.
Definitely, yeah.
Have you ever heard of that happening before, where a convicted murderess has her children adopted by the person who's pressing the case against her?
I haven't. And I think that was a question, I think at the time, that people were asking was, what is the objectivity level? What is
I have
the
not.
role of someone who's a prosecutor? And obviously he cared deeply for what had happened to those kids. And I knew a reporter who went down and spent some time with Fred and those kids and just got a portrait of what their life was like after it had happened. But certainly, I think if you do this work, you do have to step back a bit from it and be objective, even when you have a client who you're working on their case and you're trying to be an advocate. You really do have to deal with the facts and the truth, and everyone has to deal by those same set of facts. So, to the extent that, it was heroic of him, yes. Is it something that we all sort of wondered about as journalists at the time? We wondered about it,
I really, it's like people call it heroic, because he was such a wonderful man that he would adopt these poor, stricken children, that he would take them and he would look over the mask and see Christy and how she was such a helpless child that she needed somebody to just care for her and protect her from the big bad woman
It's a
world.
conflict of interest, to be honest with you.
But it's like, did it ever really occur to anybody that the adoption didn't take place until 2 years after the sentencing?
Yeah, that's an unusual fact.
Yeah.
As is the fact that her son, Danny, Diane's son, said the bad man. Can you talk about that, James?
Yeah, so there's the testimony of Danny wasn't allowed at court because they had made agreements that his testimony.
Okay, this is important to you. Listen to this.
But the hospitals clearly wrote down in their nursing reports that the mean man shot him. And it's documented more than once. And so they weren't allowed to give that testimony at court. I just learned the other day that during the closing statement of Fred Hughey, I guess that he mentioned that. I have the court transcripts, and I'm going to go through that to see this fact. And he actually mentioned Danny in his closing arguments, thus causing a breach, and counts for a mistrial because he was breaking the only rules that he set during his final closing argument.
Can you talk about Ann Rule and what did that mean to have this famous writer in the courtroom? What was the impact of that? How did that make you as a reporter feel?
Well, Ann sat next to me a lot of the time, and it lent a certain star power to the room, and the fact that she was there, in a way, I guess you could say, reinforced the fact that she was going to be doing a book, and she really doesn't come from the standpoint of the wrong guy did it. That's not a part of her genre. It's usually the genre that she writes about is, this is a trial, the person did it, they're going to go down, the detectives are the people that, ferret out the truth. And so there really isn't a great degree of skepticism in a lot of her work. Now, I've read a lot of her books. Stranger Beside Me was a good book about Ted Bundy. But she doesn't really come from the standpoint as investigative reporters or investigators, defense investigators, from the standpoint that there could be problems with the investigation, or that there could be alternate theories, or there could be areas to investigate that need to be brought forward so that the person gets a fair trial.
She's basically going
Yeah.
to take the word of the police without a lot of question.
Well, I mean, that's been the history of her books, and many of the books have included subjects and characters, which, there isn't a lot of doubt there. The person has made statements, or the person has been seen a number of times, like Ted Bundy, in the midst of doing his crime. So, in a case like Diane's, where there was at least some question, it certainly added to the idea that the police had basically figured it out and this was a done deal.
Right. James, you've explained to me that there was quite an age gap and there were many siblings in your family, so you didn't necessarily have a super close relationship with Diane, but can you talk about growing up with Diane a little bit? Tell me, what comes to mind when I ask that?
What comes to mind when I think about Diane is pigeons. She had homing pigeons in Phoenix.
She's actually talking to her brother, James.
She liked horses and animals. Didn't really interact a whole bunch. There was like 6 years in between us, 5 years, 6 years in between us. So we didn't really interact a whole lot. Yeah.
But she was certainly a victim of abuse. Her first husband and she, Mr. Steve Downs, had quite a combative, turbulent relationship.
Yeah, they sure did. I just remember times, there was a time we were in Flagstaff, we were living up there, and he jumped up on top of her and he was hitting her in the sides, and she was like just cuddled up like that, so he wouldn't be able to hurt her, and then he stopped and she got up and she started beating on him.
How tall is Diane?
She's probably about 5'7",
Okay.
5'8". I really.
She's not exactly petite then.
She
I
might
mean,
be
she's a
5'9".
pretty small person though, at least at
Yeah.
that point, right?
Yeah.
So you saw her recently. What kind
5'7".
of a visit did you have? I know, of course, we've talked about this at
Yeah.
great length, but for
Yeah.
the people watching this, you had a pretty good visit,
I
didn't
had a
you?
really good visit.
Talk to me about her intelligence. I read what she writes, and I get the impression that this has to be, a cohesive, intelligent person writing this.
Yeah, she's and there's absolutely nothing about this case, obviously, that she doesn't know or understand, right? But she has taken everything, and she's just incredibly scary smart. The way she pieces puzzles together. Yeah, very smart.
Right. And an analytical mind with math and
Yeah,
codes
absolutely.
and things
Yeah,
like this
yeah,
too, right?
Right. Some people would say that
Rolling,
she's
yeah.
lost her mind, and other people would say that she's actually found it.
Right. She's been locked up for how many years?
29.
29 years.
She spent 5 years in solitary confinement, where she got to see nobody
It's hard to imagine.
for 24 hours ago.
I've worked on another case in the past, the case of Captain Jeffrey McDonald, the Green Beret doctor, convicted of killing his family. He was also injured in the event that led to his family's death. That injury of his was greatly minimized. But you really opened my eyes when you explained to me how badly Diane was shot that night. Can you talk about that? This wasn't a flesh wound. The bullet
No.
actually struck the bone?
Yeah, the bullet struck the bone. I never really paid attention to it, because it's just a got shot in the arm. But she's got a scar that's like 4 or 5 inches long and going
It's
up her
always been
arm.
explained to us that
Where
it wasn't
actually took
that
the bone
bad.
and it shattered the bone in half, and I guess the arm was actually laying up, where its fingers were pointing towards her bicep the night of the shooting. But the problem is that how it got to the hospital. Let's talk about how it got to the hospital. It got to the hospital and it was wrapped up, straightened up, wrapped up in a towel that was like, I'm going to use Ann Rule's movie, perfectly folded. It's
Right.
like.
I'm just going to tell you the truth. The more I hear this, the more I think, honestly, that was a very, very lame thing for the prosecution to put so much into, because who really witnessed that exquisitely well-folded towel? I mean, it seems like
Right.
a distraction, I mean, Eric, what was your thought on the towel?
There were so many things about the trial that, as you listened to them, you got the impression that it was a case that was certainly very circumstantial, but that cumulatively, it was hard not to think that the way it was put on, that Diane was completely guilty.
Right.
It really was. Some of the small details, I think, kind of went over the jury's head. I mean, for example, the towel, I don't think it really registered with a lot of the jury from what, all of us, the court watchers, could tell. So there was that. There was the fact that there were the letters to the gentleman in Arizona. I mean, that took the sensational aspects about Diane's life, about her, sexual escapades, that certainly were a lot bigger than, the towel.
Right.
And a lot of the other minor things that certainly came up.
Right.
That just became kind of a sideshow. It really was. It became kind of, in the end, especially with the pregnancy and the birth, a circus type atmosphere, certainly. Yeah.
Actually, she was actually a surrogate parent for people that couldn't have babies. People nowadays, when they get paid and they do this, they're almost revered on
Let's see
TV.
which one this
you
one
know,
is.
That they had enough heart that they would carry a baby for a family that couldn't have a baby. And people say that she was a surrogate parent and that she did that, and it's like, and she's just this wicked woman who could give away a baby. But it's like...
About the hard
it's
stuff
the
in
way
the
things are
movie.
portrayed, man.
Right, I know. And convicted through the press, it's a really, that movie, and I've never watched the movie, we talked about this, I don't want to, I will at some point watch it, but I don't want to be impacted by it. Farrah Fawcett, what a major actress to cast in that part. It doesn't get in, at the time, did it get any, could it have been any? No, they really vested a lot into that, didn't they?
Everybody loved their Pharaoh.
And Anne Rule with the Duran Duran song, did that play a big part? The fact
Was that really at the trial?
Hungry Like the Wolf.
Yeah, that was at the trial.
Was it?
Can
you tell the demeanor of the courtroom?
Well, there was just this
yeah.
moment when they played the music, and that she seemed to
I guess that part was
be
true.
connecting to the music and the beat and everything. That certainly, an Anne Rule
I know how she
made
played
it
it.
made
yeah.
it made it a very
Do you remember
very
that?
big deal. Yeah, and so these little items that just seem to be not evidentiary, but were indicative of what the prosecution says was a woman who did not, care about her children enough that this music would have, if she said it was playing, this music would have triggered, an awful response from the average person.
It definitely wouldn't make them tap their foot.
Yes, exactly. And so as a result, these are just things that seem to add weight to what the prosecution was saying at the time. So, and really there could be a disconnect. She could be just exhibiting inappropriate behavior in a
Here's
number of ways.
the really weird part to that whole statement, because that is the weirdest freaking thing I've ever heard. But I don't mean to come back to the very beginning, though. But I will probably about
Real
time
health
to time.
diagnosis.
She never held a gun, never fired a gun, was not near a gun when it was being fired. had
She's
no
counted
gun status,
personality,
that's not where it's
narcissistic,
So
sociopath.
how did she shoot somebody to have a reaction to a tape? She shouldn't be the one on trial here.
And why would a person aiming to murder her children drive them to the hospital? And at the end of the day, that's a very, very hard one to go around. What's it going to take? What would it theoretically take to get that? Her appeals are done. Everything's, the course has been run. But this is what you're doing right now. What would it take to get Diane out of prison? Can you feature it? And what's your thought? And I don't mean to go on, but what's your thought on the fact that she could admit, she could say, I did this, and be paroled by now.
Yeah,
but she holds on to her innocence. How does that move you?
Well, these are some of the things I've read over the years that have made me always kind of wonder. And the private investigator who worked on her post-conviction relief, now this goes back 10 years now at least, with Richard Cohn, is the question of the numbers of things, missed opportunities by the defense to bring alternate theories. And so really, all of these appeals and post-conviction relief have all run. And so really you're down to things like pardons, you're down to things like new evidence that comes forward that you can get it in front of a judge and it's substantial enough. Maybe they may hold a hearing about it, but really,
Right.
You would probably need some kind of confession from somebody who came forward and said, I am the killer, that was there that night.
And there is a man
I don't even think that would do it.
Yeah. Well,
You don't think so?
No.
But there is a man who's been identified repeatedly. This man was apparently part of a motorcycle club that had illegal activity going on. Pat Horton, the prosecutor, was ultimately the person who left his role as a prosecutor and became the attorney for the same motorcycle club he had been investigating. And that is all central to this.
Well, I remember Pat Horton, the district attorney, there were several articles written about one of them in the Oregon magazine by
Yeah,
Dan
that's very
Spence,
odd.
about the kind of loose sort of what I would call rogue operation that some of the officers that were in an interagency narcotics team at the time, the very loose and fast and loose things that were going on with that particular group.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that certainly that was documented.
It was.
And they had interviews with people.
It's also being investigated.
And I think that article was just one of the many things that came out about that period of time down in Springfield and in Lane County that would lead you to believe that perhaps evidence handling wasn't what it could have been, and that there are certainly questions left over from that era.
Yeah, and you can actually look up on the Salem News, not Salem News, but the Eugene Register Guard in their archives about the Lane County Narcotics Task Force that was being investigated by Thomas Coffin, who is a federal investigator who was appointed to investigate them. More specifically, he was appointed to investigate Pat Horton.
And I'm not sure what the total end of it was. I don't
think
know.
people just moved around and
Yeah, he actually got a conviction. Well, he actually got a hung jury the first time around, and then he got a sealed conviction where you don't really know what the conviction is. One of those.
Oh.
So.
Well, I want to thank both of you so much because this is really a very important subject. Anyone serving time for a crime they didn't commit, regardless of the circumstances, is totally unacceptable.
Yes,
We
he
have a
was
new
a
Attorney General
DEA
of Oregon
agent.
now who seems more open-minded, and we have you,
Okay, I
Eric,
need to
doing
look
this
that up
role
too, but I don't have
for
time
other
to do it
people.
tonight, but I will
So
look
it
that
gives
up.
me hope that if
I'll
there is
find
more
out
to
about
this,
that.
it can be uncovered, and maybe there is hope still for Diane to not spend the rest of her life in prison. She'd like to see her father before this thing's over.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. And it's really, I didn't get to 100 times, but she never held a gun, man. How could you shoot somebody?
It is a
convict
tough
them in
piece
prison?
of, it's a tough
Never
point to
held a
work from, because it's hard to believe their case.
Yeah,
be
but her father
based
has
on
already
that.
passed away.
You
Okay,
still maintain
Okay,
that
so
you did
hold
not
it.
commit these murders? Or the
all right.
murder and the other crimes you were convicted of?
Absolutely. I didn't.
Needs to stop. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to play is a secret recording. Okay, and it is a 13-minute secret recording. Hold on. I'm sorry, it's a 55-minute recording. It's 55 minutes, sorry.
Hello?
Hello. Sorry to call back so soon.
What's up?
Just wanted to tell you
Yes, you
what a
can
great
hear.
job the sheriff's office is doing. I just got a phone call from Springfield News.
Wait, I can't hear you at all on this phone. Let me go get on the other one. All I hear is ringing.
All right.
It's called the Diane Downs secret recording. Okay, so listen.
The ringing's still there, but go ahead.
Bad noise.
I just wanted to tell you that I got a call from Springfield News. I
Uh-huh.
wanted to know about that meeting that the sheriff and I had Friday night, and I'll tell him there wasn't really anything I could tell him. And you know what he said Burke said? He got through to Burke, the sheriff,
Mm-hmm.
and Burke said, there's really nothing I can tell you. It was all a charade.
What? The meeting was a charade?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not following.
He says that I went there just to play along with the game, the story that I've told. It was all a charade. I didn't go there to help them or to communicate. I was simply whatever. It was a charade.
Who called you and told you this?
Springfield News.
Well,
So they're going to put that in the paper.
shit, maybe you should try calling me back, Diane. Can you hear that ringing?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that's basically all I can hear.
All right, I'll call you
Pretty
back.
bad.
Okay.
Poor quality.
Bye. Okay.
Still there?
Yeah. We still got it ringing, but I guess we're going to have to put up with it.
Well, I won't talk that long. I just wanted to tell you what the sheriff is thinking.
Well,
He doesn't want to talk to me. He says that I'm just playing a charade. So I don't feel like helping him. He's going to fall flat on his face. And that's fine. He deserves it.
Diane, I ain't worried. What you don't understand, I don't know how to tell you. I just think if you know something, you ought to tell them.
What were you going to say, though?
I was going to say just that.
You said worried.
I sound worried, or I said
You
what?
said worried. I'm not worried.
I'm not worried about the cops and all that shit. I think if you know something, you need to go tell them.
You almost slipped and said you were worried about me.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, heaven forbid. You're crazy. You still think I should tell him, even though they're acting like a bunch of assholes?
Well, I don't see what choice you have but to tell them. Maybe. You want me to call you? I can't hear shit.
Yes, call. And if it doesn't work this time, we'll just quit.
Okay. What's the number? No, tell me.
503
503
741
741
4059.
4059. Okay, I'll call in just a second.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm going to charge this right quick. I think it's the recording.
Hello?
Hello. The ringing is... Huh?
I was telling my brother that I was on the phone.
Oh, okay.
He's in the other room, didn't know you could call.
The ringing is gone.
Good.
Okay, now start from the very beginning, because I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay. The very beginning, I told you the truth. I've told my attorney the truth. I told my brother the truth. You told me I should tell the cops the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to. But then Springfield News called about 5 minutes ago,
What is the truth?
at the most, and he just told me that Sheriff Burks thinks I'm playing a charade, and that's why I went down to his office.
Well, I imagine they probably do, because you haven't told them everything you know. I mean, that's just natural. Cops are that way, Diane. You know, they always... That's just the way cops are.
Think so? They're just...
They don't know, so they just, I mean...
So they blame it on me.
Well, they blame it on... Now, let me rephrase that. I don't know that they blame it on you totally, but
No, I
you're not...
It's a charade. Since they don't understand, they're simply saying I haven't told them everything.
Right. I can go along with that, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if there's something you haven't told them...
Well, I know that, and now you know that, but they didn't know that.
Well, okay, so...
Why would they think it was a farce?
Well, I don't know. That's... Hell, they're cops. You know, they always think, you know...
Sick.
Well, geez, that's their job, Diane.
To be sick, I believe it. So you still think I should tell them? Now they're going to think I'm just trying to cover my ass.
Well, you damn well better be trying to cover your ass.
You know me. I'm the type of person that'll cut off my nose to spite my face.
Well...
Then I'll be ugly.
Tell it on herself.
I'll be the only lady in jail with her rose tattoo.
Yeah, well, you don't want to be in jail.
I know. I'm trying to be light about this.
Well, this ain't nothing to be...
Trapped.
Well, I guess you do feel trapped. I'd feel trapped, too. And I'd be telling every goddamn thing I knew. I mean, I'd tell...
Trigger warning, trigger warning.
Shit, you can tell them you took the lie detector test. I don't... You know, you tell them everything. You know.
All right, I'll tell them.
Okay.
They don't deserve it, but I will.
Diane, we ain't interested in who deserves what. You know, you're fighting for keeping your ass out of jail.
You're sweet. You keep screwing up like that, and you're going to make me think you almost like me.
Well, I might almost like you, but anyway.
Sometimes you almost need to.
Well, Diane, I'm just... Don't
Don't be a smartass.
be a smartass, yeah. I mean, your ass is going to jail if you don't come up with something better.
But see, that's what they're going to think. They're going to think I'm making it up. And I'm not.
What is that one, I don't know what article, I can't tell you, I've seen so damn many.
I'm sorry.
But about Christy drawing a picture of someone going to the car, to the back of the car, and then to the front of the car.
Right.
What's all that about?
That's a lie.
She didn't draw the picture?
Huh?
She didn't draw the picture?
She probably drew the picture, but she drew it because anybody can tell a child to draw a picture going from here to here and back.
Uh-huh.
Any 8-year-old can do that. The cops, that's what the cops were asking me about. They said, we have heard reports from Susan Staffel that Christy has made a report that Mommy got out of the car, went to the trunk, got something out of the trunk, came back up to the driver's door, and all the bad stuff started happening. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit. You know why? You know how little my car is, right?
Yeah.
Christy and Danny were in the back seat, laying down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great, the phone's clicking again. Christy and Danny were in the back seat laying down. If Christy was awake, I say Christy was asleep because she was. If Christy was awake, Christy would have sat up. If Mommy gets out of the car in the middle of the night on a dark, deserted road and goes to the back of the car, is Christy just going to lay there and presume something? No. If she was awake enough to know what the hell was going on, first of all, she wouldn't have seen me go to the back of the car. She would have seen somebody shoot her. As it was, the bullet entered somewhere down by her rib cage, exited up at her shoulder, right by her neck, by the base of her neck. Both bullets came from the bottom to the top.
And she was in the back seat?
Yeah.
So that means the Joker had to get in the...
Now he reached through, I guess.
You mean you guess? He must have got in the car and shot her.
Looking at Christy.
I know, but... I guess what I'm asking you, did he shoot the kids through the windshield, or did he get in the door and shoot them?
The door.
Okay, well, that's all I was asking.
Oh, that's what you mean by in, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Christy was shot under, like below her, like in the middle of her rib cage or so. Exited up. It had to travel a foot up. Also, trajectory will prove that when you get shot, the bullet can only pass through the muscle at one angle for
Right.
a given movement.
Right.
Christy was laying with her back to the seat and her neck kind of bent and her head along the side of the wall of the car. Okay? When she was shot the first time, that's the bullet that passed through her body, I am assuming, because the second one went through her hand and it didn't get all the way out of her body.
Okay,
So
maybe...
that bullet is either in the seat or in the side of the car. So everything that Susan Staffel has taught Christy to say is a bunch of lies.
Okay.
There's no way Christy could have seen all that and still been in that position.
Okay.
See?
Where were you when the shooting was going on?
By the back, the little wing, the little triangle-shaped wing.
Why weren't you kicking the boy in the balls or something?
Because I was frozen.
Well, okay. That's a good enough answer.
I'm
Excuse.
sorry, and I'm ashamed of it, but I saw him. I knew he was mad at me, and I just never assumed anybody would hurt the kids. And I saw
I
him
knew
towards
he
the
was
car,
mad
and
at
my
me.
first thought was to look at the kids, because they're part of me. And I saw Christy get shot, and I just froze. My mind completely locked until he swung around towards me again. And that's when he hit my hand with the gun.
Well, when you told me the first time you called something, when you called me at the post office, something about throwing your keys or pretending to throw your keys or some shit. When did that happen?
It didn't.
Oh, okay.
But I had to give a good reason that I got away. I couldn't just tell him that he walked away from me.
Well, why not?
Oh,
Because that's the truth. And the guy said I better not tell the truth.
The guy that did the shooting.
Yeah.
Diane, you better go talk to the police.
I don't trust them.
Well, Jesus, they don't trust you either.
I know.
she's a
So why
liar.
would they believe anything I said?
Well,
That's why if they would just drop it, I would find out who did it and take care of it myself. And if I didn't find out, at least I'd protect myself from now on, and I wouldn't let anybody come near me.
Diane, they're not going to drop it.
I know. I'm beginning to understand that.
I mean,
They would
they
just drop
got a
it.
murder.
I know.
And they're not going to drop it. I mean, they may not find out anything, but they're not going to drop it. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, it's gone too far.
I know.
Jesus, Diane.
Mess, huh?
Well, you just... yeah, you got your ass in a real crack.
Well, I didn't ask for it.
Well, I'm not saying you asked for it, but you lied to them.
Put yourself in my place.
I don't...
You're not 6'1". You're 5'6". You're female. You have no husband, nobody to protect you. You have 3 little kids who are hurt. And this joker has just shot up your kids and said, now get the hell out of here and don't you say a word to anybody or I'll come back and get rid of you too. You have to think of something fast on the way to the hospital while you're driving. You think of something that sounds logical. You get to the hospital, you tell them the story. You don't just run in there and say, somebody hired somebody to shoot me because the guy's still in the state. It'll come out in the papers the next day. So-and-so was attacked by a hitman for we don't know who. But we're going to find out. Bullshit. The man will have me dead before they find out. Right?
Well, God, even if he attempted it, at least it would prove your story.
Attempted nothing. The man did it the first time. I don't think people like that just attempt things. They do it.
Jesus, Diane.
He killed one of my daughters.
I know that.
He almost killed the other one.
I know that.
Danny was going to die. Danny was just hurt. I don't think by any of his choice. I think if he'd had his way, he'd have died too. Thank God I drove fast. I got to the hospital.
Not that fast.
And 2 of them, they were all 3 alive when we got there. At least 2 of them still made it.
Wait, she changed the story.
And there was nothing more that I could do. And Steve calls and, you wouldn't believe the shit.
Told the police.
Oh.
One was
He should be used to that. He's always done that.
I know, but this is very sensitive. I feel totally responsible for everything because they're my kids, and I was responsible for them. So what happened to them happened while they were my responsibility. So even though I didn't pull the trigger, I feel responsible for Cheryl dying, especially since it was somebody's hatred for me that caused it.
Yeah, but just knowing you, Diane, just seems to, well, this is just what I think. It just seems to me you'd have tackled the motherfucker. I mean, whether he'd have shot your ass or not, you'd have tried to claw his eyes out, you might have got your ass killed. But that's just what seemed, I mean, just knowing you, that's what...
I agree. That's exactly what I have sworn ever since I've had my kids, that nobody could hurt my kids. They'd have to kill me first.
I know, any mother, I mean, they'd have gone berserk. They might end up dead, but they'd have gone berserk.
Yeah. You never know till it happens to you, though.
Well, that's true.
And I didn't do anything I thought I would do.
Well, I can't tell you what to do.
I guess that's why I feel guilty, too, and that's why I've been crying so bad today and yesterday. Because I didn't do what I thought I would do. And Steve, when he called, just gave me hell. Ugh.
Well, what do you mean he gave you hell? What did he say?
He keeps telling me it's my fault, it's my fault.
Well, it is.
And since I'm the mother, it is my fault, because I should have done something, but I didn't. But at least I had the strength to drive to the hospital, even seeing everything that I saw, hearing what I heard, and that smell. Ugh. And I kept going. I didn't quit. I may have screwed up in the beginning, but at least I kept going.
Well, don't screw up any longer, Diane. Go tell the cops what you know. Tell them, I mean, if you... I don't know. It just seems to me if you just tell them exactly what happened and what you think, maybe it'll work out better. I mean, lying ain't going to get you anywhere. Lying's going to get you put in jail is what's going to happen.
Probably.
I mean, they're going to check it out. They're going to, whether you think they follow your leads or not, you've told me you don't think they have, but I'm sure they do. The cops don't tell you everything.
They don't tell me anything.
Okay, well, see what I mean?
They get pissed at me and want to know what the hell's going on. I have no idea. I find out from the newspaper. what's going on.
Well, that's where I find out. I find out from you or the newspaper. That's the only place I find out anything. They don't tell me shit. All they do is ask me questions.
That's exactly what they used to do to me. Now they don't even ask me questions. Which tells me one thing. They think I did it. Because they're asking questions about me, not from me. Missy, huh?
Well, she's in jail.
Well, it ain't pretty. And it ain't no ideal situation, that's for sure. Maybe I should just not tell you anything. I don't know.
What do you mean? What can you tell me?
Tell it.
Well, just what I've been telling you. Go talk to him. You know,
Why do you say that now? Because if they don't...
Well, you just keep saying that they're not going to listen to you and everything, so...
Well, I don't know if they will or not. I just got to the point I don't trust them, so I don't know if they will or not.
Well, they're the only people you got to put any trust in. I mean, Diane, don't you realize?
What? That my daughter's dead? Yeah.
Yeah, and... like I said earlier, this ain't no game anymore.
It never was.
And if you don't come clean with them, I mean, well, I don't know. It'll be up to a jury. But, you know, I think you just need to tell them whatever you know.
I think you're right.
I mean...
You're pretty smart.
Well, I don't know.
You've made a few dumb decisions, but that's okay. Everybody's entitled to some dumb decisions. That's a joke, Nick.
Okay.
That's much better. I appreciate that. Good grief.
But you got to... just... You know, if you lie to them, they're never going to be able to believe you. And if you keep lying to them, then they just won't believe you.
I understand. I just wish you understood me. I think you do.
Well, I'm trying my best.
What good would it have done me to tell them the truth?
You know what?
That's what you should have done in the first place.
What?
You should have told them the truth in the first place.
Except that it would have been put in the paper, and the guy told me he would get me again, and the cops wouldn't know who to protect me from.
Okay.
They wouldn't have believed me any more about a hitman than they would have about a total stranger, would they? No.
Well, I don't know, but I think you better go tell them now. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You told me they had cops watching the kids. They can have cops watching you.
They only have 3. They don't have cops watching the kids now.
No, that's right. You told me they lost the election or some shit.
Right.
You heard that conspiracy
Well, they
theory
got at
right
least
there?
one. They got
Yeah.
city police, don't they?
There we go.
Yeah, but they don't get involved. You wouldn't believe it. My dad found somebody that looked like the guy. He called and went down to the police station and asked the guys if they'd go with him to see if this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, no, it's not our jurisdiction.
Well, but if the other...
My dad gets shot. Oh, well. Sorry, I get carried away.
Well, you...
I'm going to get carried away.
Yeah, you're going to get carried away. You need to go talk to them jokers.
Jokers is exactly the word. You may get a real colorful report in Springfield News next time.
Well, I'm sure I'll read it.
Okay, because it's going to be about what Burks had to say and what I had to say. And I told him that he can put in the paper that Burks is an asshole.
Jesus, Diane. That's not the way to do it.
No, it's not, but he is.
Who, your daddy?
No, that's what I told him to
Oh, okay.
that Burks is.
Well, he may be a total asshole, but he's still the doodah, you know?
I don't think he knows what the hell's going on either.
Well, he may not, but that's all you got. Whether...
This reporter also asked me, he says, that the detectives say that they're following up on leads. What do you think? And I said, I think it's a charade. Because that's exactly what they said about my story. Now, that was funny. You should have laughed. Come on, give me a break, Knickerbocker.
Well, I don't think this shit's funny at all.
have to have some kind of, I don't know, amusement.
Yeah, you calling me for comic relief, huh?
Yeah. I was called for crying earlier, and now I need to laugh.
Well, you said your parents have backed off. Does that mean they don't believe you anymore?
Now it means that Steve threatened to expose whatever, and so they're just going to keep their mouth shut about everything.
Well,
So it's my fight.
Well, I thought that shit had already come out, but anyway, I guess I misunderstood you.
No, not the details, no.
Well, I don't mean the details, I just mean that it happened.
Yeah, but not who.
Well, how could it happen and they not know? See,
It was never said who.
You know she's lying.
Well, isn't it fairly obvious who? It wouldn't be your mother.
Perhaps. But it was never said straight out. As long as it's never said straight out, somehow that makes it okay.
So your daddy's more worried about his job than he's worried about his daughter.
Right. You got my family to a T. Now do you know why I want to get the hell out of here? I remember now. It's been gone for 10 years. I remember now why I wanted out so bad. People are more worried about themselves than whatever.
About herself, I know she is.
And I'm a person that needs to be loved.
You know what? I need to be loved.
I'm going to get the fuck out of here and go when this is over. I can't even take a vacation right now. You know these two kids that were arrested in the 7-Eleven thing? They
I remember you telling me about it.
I didn't tell you that they skipped town. I just found out. They disappeared. Maybe I did tell you last time.
Well, you told me about something about a 7-Eleven.
Yeah, there was a murder and 2 kids got arrested and all this stuff. And anyway, the kids skipped town. And I would have loved to take a vacation. This place is driving me bananas. But I don't dare get on the plane. They're going to think I'm trying to leave the country. They'll pick me up in Arizona or wherever and say that I was running out. And that's the full sign of guilt or whatever. I can't even take a vacation till this thing's cleared up.
Can't take a vacation. It has to be squared up.
I could. All I got to do is call the
Lady, you shot your children.
No, I think that's one of your big problems. You need to quit telling the newspaper so much and talk to the cops.
People know that I'm not disappearing, that I'm taking a...
Piss on the people, Diane. You don't seem to understand. All you need to do is talk with the police. You ain't got to tell the the newspapers nothing. Ain't none of their damn business. They're going to get the little story that comes down from who.
Department.
Yeah. And,
that's always wrong.
well, if you tell them I just think you're telling the papers too much.
I'm telling the papers I didn't do it and I want my kids back.
Mm-hmm.
So. Tastes good?
Huh?
Tastes good?
What?
What you're drinking?
Yeah.
Wish I had one.
Well, go get you some.
Can't.
Why can't you? You got any money?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you just go get whatever you want.
I'm living at home with my parents.
Oh, you're not allowed to drink at home?
No.
You're not allowed to drink at home?
No.
Oh, well.
I had some whiskey at the house. My mom threw it out when she packed my stuff up when I was in the hospital.
What can I say? That's what happens when you fool around with Baptists.
I guess so. What happened to me?
Well, I don't know.
I got invited by one of the guys to go out, though. Come over to his place and have some. But I didn't go. Because he's not single, but he moved out.
You don't need to be there.
No.
You got your shit big enough crack as it is.
I agree. All I need to do is to be caught having a good time when my kids are being kidnapped. So, sometimes, I went to see a girl, though, the other day that used to be a neighbor of mine. Had a beer with her. Tasted really good. I haven't done that for a long time. Since this happened, I haven't.
I mean, I guess it's just all joy.
Anyway, I'm rambling again. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do that, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
So look forward to her next vacation.
Maybe I'll go
It's
out anyway.
41 years of vacation.
No, because it's not fun to drink alone. Nothing to do afterwards.
Oh, my God.
Lay and daydream. No, that's no fun. Never mind. Don't think about that. That was supposed to be funny, too.
Okay.
Where's your sense of humor?
I guess I'm just tired. I don't have any.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll let you go.
I don't think they'll call me again.
Okay, well, just remember what I said, Diane. I think you need to go and come clean with the police.
Okay. Can you cross your fingers for me?
I don't need to do that. You just need to go down and tell them the truth.
That's constant flirting.
Use those, Louise. Just a real jewel. Isn't that what your first wife used to call you?
No.
You were the rock.
Yeah.
That's right. How do you keep your women straight?
I don't know. I have a lot of trouble with that.
I guess so. Got any more girlfriends yet?
No.
Smart boy, you learned something. I knew you would.
Yeah, I always am learning.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll quit pestering you. It's 8:15. I gotta call my attorney.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Good night.
Nick? For you.
She's very delusional. Very popped in the head.
Hello?
Hello. Sorry to call back so soon.
What's up?
Just wanted to tell you what a great job the sheriff's office is doing. I just got a phone call from Springfield News.
Wait, I can't hear you at all on this phone. Let me go get on the other one. All I hear is ringing.
All right.
Look at terrible quality. You see how much longer this one is. Ooh, what time is it? Okay.
The ringing's still there, but go ahead.
I just wanted to tell you that I got a call from Springfield News. I
Uh-huh.
wanted to know about that meeting that the sheriff and I had Friday night, and I'll tell them there wasn't really anything I could tell him. And you know what he said Burke said? He got through to Burke, the sheriff,
Mm-hmm.
and Burke said, there's really nothing I can tell you. It was all a charade.
It's just a repeat of what we
The
already
meeting was a
heard.
charade?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not following.
He says that I went there just to play along with the game, the story that I've told. It was all a charade.
Yeah.
I didn't go there to help them or to communicate. I was simply whatever. It was a charade.
I'm going to skip past this part because it's the same one.
Who called? Your ass is going to jail if you don't come up with something better.
But see, that's what they're going to think. They're going to think I'm making it up. And I'm not. What?
What is that one? I don't know what article. I can't tell you. I've seen so damn many.
I'm sorry.
But about Christie drawing a picture of someone going to the car, to the back of the car, and then to the front of the car. What's all that about?
That's a lie.
Okay. So it sounds like they just recorded the same conversation twice there because it's like 55 minutes of that same conversation anyway. So let's see. The next one is like a little settlement. We're going to listen to the settlement one, which is James Frederickson talking. This is the brother talking to Diane. And then I'm going to cut this off right now. I'm going to go to bed, and then I'm going to get back up in the morning, and I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to play the last 1, 2, 3 hours worth. And I'm going to start at about 9 o'clock in the morning, okay? So here we go.
James, we're talking about your sister, Diane Downs. She was convicted of a murder back in the 1980s of one of her children. She was accused of shooting all three. She was accused of doing this on a dark road back in 1983 while a song from Duran Duran was playing. It was a very dramatic trial that took on a lot of different, as we were just saying, it's so complicated. There's so much to any case like this, particularly this one. At any rate, there's an author named Ann Rule who wrote a book called Small Sacrifices. It was made into a movie. And this portrays your sister as being very guilty. Her daughter, the daughter of Ann Rule, is somebody that I would consider a friend, Leslie Rule. I've been in touch with her for many years. We've spent a limited amount of time together. And I thought, when you started bringing evidence to me, as well as your father and Franz Kurz in Germany, that was very, very interesting, I thought I should run it by Leslie. Now, she wrote back to me a number of questions, very steadfastly standing up for her mother's book. That's fairly understandable.
Yeah, sure.
But we agree that these questions are kind of the pinnacle for the points that they hold for justifying the angle of the book, which, again, made your sister totally guilty. One of the questions that Leslie said to me was, because your sister said that the killer was a bushy-haired stranger, Leslie wrote to Tim, did the bushy-haired stranger have Diane Down's gun. What a coincidence. Now, those who are walking through the story piece by piece know that we just addressed this. But again,
started to address it. Yeah.
Right. If Diane Downs shot her children, there would have been evidence of that, it seems, almost conclusively when she got to the hospital where she brought her children. If she was trying to kill them, it seems odd that she drove them to the hospital and that two of them ultimately lived.
Amen.
But what do you think about this gun and the bushy-haired stranger? Talk about that, if you will.
The bushy-haired stranger is James Haynes.
His own sister.
James Haynes. My dad heard from Frances Huerta, who was in prison with my sister. And Frances Huerta told her about James Haynes, that it was her son-in-law, that he had admitted to being the assailant, Diane Downs. And so my dad,
No.
it's like, we believe everything, because we know that she didn't hold the gun. And so since she didn't hold the gun, we got to find a reason that it happened. Although we shouldn't have to, because, in the U.S. I thought if you didn't hold a gun, you didn't fire a gun, that you wouldn't be convicted of shooting somebody. But we are. So, it
It's
happens.
not we, it's her.
And then so...
Let's talk about James Haynes for just a second.
Yeah.
We now have his background. We were able to attain this. How many pages of background criminal, was it 60 pages, or was it, no, it was 75, I think.
Yeah, it's what the police call a rap sheet.
Right. And this guy was a member of a biker group that allegedly was running drugs.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, the Lane County, Oregon Interagency Narcotics Team, known as LINT, was under investigation for drugs that were disappearing out of its evidence lockers. The bikers that were involved in this had an enforcer, and his name was James Haynes. That's who we're talking about.
Yeah, it would appear that way, yeah.
Now, how many people do you have affidavits from saying that they have witnessed James Haynes confessing to this crime?
1, 2, 3, 4. But it's like on that background check. He's got hundreds and hundreds of friends that I know that he's told him that.
Right, and one of his own friends, right, he completely indicted James Haynes on this crime, and there are many, many other reasons to believe that this may at least be a possibility, something that the police should have pursued. But the understanding that we have is that he was protected, and he was protected by a prosecutor named Pat Horton, who was directly involved in the drug trade that we're talking about. And we know that as soon as Diane's trial was over, that Horton stopped working for the state as a prosecutor and became an attorney for the very bikers he had been prosecuting.
Yeah.
It's a pretty shaky thing. I mean, if people take a big view look at it. Of course, Salem News, we've looked at many cases in Oregon that are obviously very dubious convictions that took place under wrongful conditions. People are put away for things in this state that they didn't do. There's a lot of corruption that's been going on for a lot of years. But nonetheless, the bushy-haired stranger, I mean, that really sounds funny when we say that, but in reality, you can't change what it was. You believe that James Haynes was sent out to meet Diane because she had witnessed Pat Horton at a party doing illegal drug deals.
Yeah.
And you also believe that the person that sent Diane to that party was the federal investigator who was trying to bust the prosecutor, Pat Horton, in the first place.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting story. And you know what? It wouldn't be if it wasn't so well backed up. It wouldn't be if there wasn't so much evidence that said, look at this case. Don't believe everything you're hearing.
It's true.
And, I'm not convinced that your sister did or didn't commit this crime. I'm just convinced that there's evidence that wasn't examined. How many pages of evidence were you and your family able to pull up post-trial that was not admitted to the defense?
It's actually not me and my family. It was actually Wendy Willis. She was her defender.
Her public defender?
Yes, for her last appeal.
And she pulled up.
I think it was her last. And Wendy, she was a soldier. She was ruthless. She beat it. She figured it out.
How does that feel to have a legal representative have worked for your sister in a positive and serious way?
Sounds like somebody from YouTube.
Feels good.
You don't really necessarily...
She lost.
I understand. But James Jagger, her original attorney, he had been a prosecutor 6 months before taking Diane's case as a defense
For
attorney.
years.
For many years.
For many years.
So he was really sort of from the other side, if you will.
This was his first
Sounds like Peter Hyatt.
Okay.
to defend.
James, thanks a lot for answering this question about the quote-unquote bushy-haired stranger who many people believe is a man named James Haynes, who's alive today.
Yeah.
In fact...
Doesn't have a leg to stand on, I hear.
Right. Let's cite one more part of this. There's a television program, a national program called Lisa. Am I correct? Is that?
Yeah.
And they actually had James Haynes and one of the investigators from the case
Doug Welch.
on TV to
Yes.
defend James Haynes.
Yes.
And interestingly, when you look through his years and years of criminal arrests and convictions for very dark things, there is a period exactly when this happened to Diane when there appears to be kind of an angel over his shoulder.
He was an angel, man. He was an angel on the county side.
Right. So Pat Horton would have been the one with the little pair of wings on his back,
Yes, sir.
making it happen.
Yes, sir.
James, thank you so much for this.
Wow. Okay. Now,
Number is 654.
and that is a parole hearing right there. We have 2 parole hearings and then another testimony, and then her father speaks, and that is the end of the videos that I have been able to come across. I do want to find the story where they were saying that this Haynes guy was on, I think they said Lisa. I'm going to look and see if I can find that as well, and we'll go ahead and play that as well. But with everything that's come out in this case and all the BS that we've seen over all the years and the books and everything else, you know what? She did it. I don't care what she says. She did it. This guy that they're talking about was actually the son of a cellmate. You tell me how the hell that happened. Anyway, good night, guys. I'll see you in a little bit. I'm going to come back on. We're going to finish this up. I can't stay up any longer. I'm tired. So we'll start again in the morning. Talk to you later. Bye.